to make more money. So this stuff happens. Also, there is private arbitration within states as well. And most of the time, they don't go to war with each other.
Medieval Ireland, there's medieval Iceland and then medieval Ireland. They were both kind of anarcho-capitalists. I would say, from what I know about medieval Ireland, it was arguably more capitalist, more anarcho-capitalist than Iceland. But in Iceland, they had a bunch of private armies, and for many years, it wasn't just like there was constant like warring. I don't believe.
Also, Dino, it's like just think about it like this: if you look at the United Nations, are all the war? At any time that there's a dispute between one country and the United Nation and another country, do they automatically just go to war with each other? Well, no, it's because a lot of them have signed agreements with each other that if one, a lot of them have signed agreements with each other that if one decides to get invaded or invade another one, they will all band together and stomp out that one that decides to invade. And that's sort of generally what happens. So it could happen very similarly with a private companies. And also they would be more incentivized.
Like a specific,
they would be more incentivized to do so because of private.
For what? What place?
You mentioned medieval Ireland. Do you have a specific?
Yeah, I think it was around 1000 to 1500 was before.
Give me examples of anarcho-capitalism.
But up until around 1500, Ireland was like independent. It wasn't ruled by the UK.
No, but it still had
that have happened in the real world and in
the
history.
legal system that they had, which I think was sort of ANCAP, was called the Brehon Law. So there's like a Wikipedia page.
Okay, so there's I have this is the thing that I normally. So medieval Icelandic Commonwealth from 930 AD to 1262 AD. This is a classic historical example cited by David Friedman and Murray Rothbard and others. Why it qualifies: no kings, no executive state. Law was privately enforced. Courts existed, but had no monopoly on force. And enforcement was done through reputation, private alliances, and ostracism. People chose which legal authority go die to affiliate with. Legal authority was transferred. There's Caspia, there's Somalia. American Old West was pretty merchant law, medieval guilds.
Wait a minute. But the Old West, that was built on like the expropriation and extermination of like indigenous
with the state.
That was
contrary to Hollywood myth, much of the West was orderly before government arrived. This is before the state, the United States government started going around, started to establish itself. Private courts in mining camps, private cattlemen associations, brand registries, contract enforcement without state police, vigilante committees as temporary defense. Markets and property norms preceded the state, not the other way around. So yeah, in fact, there's this one guy MRH Legacy who has a really good video on this. I can send it to you.
Do you think that like the Old West lasted like 20 years or so? Do you think that like?
No, it did not. It lasted from 1830 to 1900. So that was like 80 years.
70, but okay. No, 70, 80.
Okay, same. Whatever.
Do you think that...
there's Prospera today.
Do you think that the time that something lasts should determine whether... Like, if something isn't eternal, if something fails eventually, do you think that is a mark against it?
Not necessarily. There could be outside factors that could contribute to its failure.
Is now live streaming World of Warcraft.
What do you think were the outside factors that contributed to the failure of, say, the state?
The British government coming in and claiming over the land in America, in the Wild West.
So
the British government kind of came in and enforced its way.
So the British redcoats came into the Old West in the 19th century, and they just like ruined it for the Americans.
They ruined it.
Okay. So like when did the British, right? So the British redcoats.
But that was wait a minute. You're ignoring all the other examples. There was other examples too.
Oh, I'm just saying. I'm just like learning about history with you. So in the year 1900, because that's when the Old West ended, there was this colonial expedition from Canada, presumably, where the British came in and they just ruined the Old West. I wonder what Teddy Roosevelt was doing. He didn't seem to have I thought he would have a big problem with, say, like British troops in the Old West, but I don't know. I'm learning history. We're learning.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
that's not what happened.
But I will tell you this: there was other examples too. So, and there's Prospera today in Honduras. They're doing pretty good.
And I actually don't. I've never really heard about this place.
It's actually doing very, very well. Just look it up on
Honduran
ChatGPT
government doesn't like it.
or Google or something like that.
Hail Sithis.
Hail Sithis! Thank you.
First attempt to create.
There was the Icelandic Commonwealth that lasted like a couple hundred years.
Yeah, but what I mean is like the time it lasts doesn't matter. Like for a society, it's neither a strike. It's not a strike against a society if it doesn't last eternally.
No, I don't think so. I think what matters is the.
But that means you should never use that argument. You should never be like, oh well, this society didn't last forever or to today, therefore.
I never made that argument. I don't think I made that argument, did I?
No, perfect. No, you haven't.
I think it was.
I was just telling him the time period. Yeah, I was just telling him the time period.
For Iceland.
You know?
It's not just that, like, Iceland or whatever place
Yeah.
lasted this long. It's like they did relatively well before they like collapsed or whatever, or they got invaded or whatever. Like the problem with Iceland, was basically that after a while there became multiple families that controlled different parts of the island, I believe. That became quite powerful, and they basically started taxing people. And eventually, I think they started going to war over territory, and then eventually it was quite a lot of death during that time compared to before.
What about Prospera in Honduras?
Norway came in.
Why does Prospera have taxes?
They don't have. They do. They have to. They have no choice but to pay taxes to the government if.
Because they're like.
But it's a voluntary tax in the sense that you can stay here if you pay us this percentage of money. It's not as in. So I wouldn't. They call it a tax on paper, but they're the owners of the land and they charge you to stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Isn't that like? Is that what you're talking about when you say taxes? It's not a tax. Fuck.
How much do people get paid in Prospero? Like just
they get paid. They get paid more than your average Honduran.
Median. What is median income in?
Ask ChatGPT.
Prospero. The median income is about 20 grand annually.
Yeah, but you got to understand that's Honduras, dude. Honduras. That's higher than your average person that lives in Honduras. Like if you look up the average Honduran person, see like how much they make, it's not that high.
Yeah. Do you think
Do you know what it is?
2,000. So it's 1/10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, really? That's fucking poor.
That's pretty good, right?
It depends. Like.
It's not really a full AnCap. I would more call it a proto-anarcho-capitalism. That's what I would more call it.
Do you think feudalism is AnCap?
No.
No, it's silly.
Well, it depends. Let's say if I'm the owner of a land, and then I call myself a king, and then people choose to stay on
feudalism.
It. I mean, if I call myself a king,
right?
I mean, if I call myself a king,
where you're born onto some land. And then, like, you basically become a slave to.
It's not feudalism in the normal sense of the word, right?
It's not. You're not born a slave. Like peasants aren't slaves, right? They have a voluntary contract to live on the land and to work the land, and they have to give their produce
feudal society.
to the landlord.
I don't think it was voluntary. like the way you're.
Well, how about this?
framing it.
How about this? What about this, right? All the businesses, okay, all these, CEOs, they buy.
Also,
all this
wasn't it
thing.
just kings granting people land that's not real ownership? I would say
But if it's private property, if the king owns,
it's not actually private. It's not
Why isn't
private
it
'cause it's a
private?
king. It's a government.
Yeah, that's
King is the
there.
head of
A
government,
king is
right?
not an owner of a land.
A king is a private individual.
They're a private individual, but they're not an owner of the land. They're just a
makes-
person that
what-
says
why-
they're
King
the
is
owner.
part of like a government. A king expropriates
Why-
taxes, etc. That's a government.
So, okay, why can't
Not private.
Why can't a king be a private individual?
But just by virtue, I would
Well,
say
we're
of
not
what
saying
a
they're
king
not a private individual. We're saying that generally,
No, but
in
what
the
I mean
normal
is,
sense
right,
in the word, they're not owners of the land. They generally
is.
conquered
Not like
it
a
in
private
some
property
way.
owner. I wouldn't call a king
Yeah,
a private
they're like
property owner.
conquerors generally.
They steal, they conquer, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what
but how about this, right?
monarch did.
But how about this, right? You've got a CEO who owns land,
Mm-hmm.
and they decide to call themselves king because they can call themselves whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
And they say, you can live on my land, but the rules are you need to work the land to live on it. So they are
That's fine.
voluntarily exchanging.
That's fine.
They own
And
it,
so,
right?
And so what happens is these sort of landlords become entrenched, and then they can force people onto the land, or they can restrict people from moving.
If they did, that
And
would
they could
be
do
that.
Then they would be acting
They could say
like statists.
They would be an aggressor.
But what they could do is, right, the king could say, here are some really good, here you can work on my land, but if you do, your descendants have to work on my land.
No, you can't do that.
No, because then the descendants can't. Like you can't consent like for your descendants in the future. That's not.
Yeah, that's not how that works, bro. That would
But do you think- do you
their
believe that-
insurance companies would go after them.
But do you think that children are the private property of their parents?
No.
No.
Okay.
They're self-owners. The difference between an adult and a child is that an adult is able to make their own decisions, whereas a child, they're temporarily incapable of making their own decisions. So what we do with them is we generally their parent would be what we call a guardian, and the guardianship role is essentially the idea of protecting and preserving that person's body until they're capable of making their own decisions, when they become an adult, yada yada. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But they're still
Well, that's good.
self-owners.
I'm
You don't
glad-
own their body.
But-
Like you're just protecting it until they're old
But
enough.
I'm glad. But what if it's like, take like child trafficking. Like that's super profitable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So should we intervene in the free market to stop something that's profitable?
It's not free market if it's involved.
Yeah, if it's involuntary, we wouldn't consider it to be a free market because then, so for instance, yeah, it's profitable for me to force some guy to work for me, right? But because there is an unconsenting third party in the transaction, which would be the slave guy, it would not be a free market because there's an unfree guy in the transaction.
But do you
They're
think
all
that most
bots.
people would care?
It's not about whether they care. We're telling you what we believe.
That's what you believe, but I just mean, do you think most people would care?
I would hope so in an AnCap society.
In heaven.
Like, let me put it this way, right? Do you think that do you believe that like sweatshops are exploitative or like slave labor?
It's voluntary now.
I work at a sweatshop.
But I mean, like take like a sweatshop in.
I'm a
like,
forklift operator.
Bangladesh or Thailand or.
It's just poor conditions and like cheap labor. It's not necessarily slavery.
No, it depends on whether or not you agree. If you agree to it, and nobody's making you stay,
But are you?
yeah, it's not slavery.
Do you want?
No, let them work in them. That's how they want to make their money. They can make it's probably better. If they're choosing that option, that's what they want to do, right? It's
Yeah.
the best option for them. Even if it seems bad,
but do you
right,
think-
and bad to us, it's the best
do you
option
think
they
there
have,
are-
frankly. And not to be fucking sus.
But why is it the best
Farmers
option
otherwise.
they have?
It's why they're.
Well, generally because
they
they're
believe
poor.
it's the best option they have because they're choosing that option.
No.
That's
But what
I
I mean is like, don't you think that like, do you think that like, foreign interference and force creates poverty? So, for example, like take like the banana republics. You know what I mean? When the U.S. you know
The fuck?
uses its military to sort of prop up these sort of dictatorships, for example, and then people voluntarily choose to work in poor conditions. Do you still think that's a fair choice?
Not if the state is involved.
What do you mean by fair choice?
Or do you think that's a legitimate choice?
Not if the state is involved.
Like as in like this place has been made, poverty's been like induced there,
Yeah,
given
because
this
of,
state
like,
intervention.
yeah,
Is
from
that
like
then a
foreign
legit?
government. Yeah,
I mean, if the decisions these people in these unfortunate circumstances are making are ultimately voluntary, then that's.
I mean,
their
you could
choice, not really
voluntarily
fair.
work for a state. Like you can voluntarily work for a DNV, right?
no,
Yeah.
but like, so like that's so we have an example of like state coercion and state interference where a foreign state has made it so that these people live in poverty, right? But you would say that, well, they voluntarily chose to work there even though there was no other option for them.
Well, I mean, if they voluntarily choose to do some sort of work that's unpleasurable.
The rights
no.
violation
No,
isn't
no.
the. You got to understand the rights violation isn't the forcing them to work. If they're being forced to work against their will, then we would agree with you that that's a rights violation and it shouldn't be allowed, right?
Do you think?
But
Do you think?
Mhm.
Do you think that like foreign state interference to create poverty, like poor conditions in foreign countries, to suppress wages, for example, and to create mega profits, do you think that that is a violation of those people's rights?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, absolutely. If
Yeah, it
they're
sounds like it.
if they're restricting
let's-
competition, yes.
Okay.
But what?
Well, let's
Sounds
run
like the
with
state's going in there and like I don't know, doing terrible things. Like what?
Yeah. So like,
Yeah,
you know,
then
they could be
I-
the state could be colluding with landlords. It could be keeping places poor. You
to
know,
do
through, like,
what?
debt to make money.
Colluding
to
to do
like
what?
rent
exactly?
control,
I mean, colluding
yeah.
like what exactly are they doing?
Like rent control, I would
So-
agree.
The landlords.
So they could be, they could be suppressing union organizing, for example, or they could be heavily indebting a state so that they have to like cut support to people, or they could be
Heavily
actively,
indebting them.
yeah, so like IMF loans and things like that, right?
There aren't the people.
We're
in these
against
states,
all
like,
we're
choosing
against
to take
all
these
forms
loans?
of welfare,
Right. So the reason I bring this
whether
up
you're rich or
is that-
poor.
Right. The reason I bring this up, and I'll get to my point, is that we have an example of like foreign countries inducing economic austerity, or foreign countries introducing economic hardship, or places being, purposefully retarded so that they can't economically prosper, right? And yet you probably choose to buy those materials despite that being a rights violation. Like you are economically supporting that, right?
It's not my fault what like what's happening in these
So
other
yeah.
countries.
So for instance, if
No,
I
it's
go
not,
up to
but it's
you,
not, it's
if I go,
no,
if
no,
you
no,
have a
it's-
Pokemon, let me put this very clearly to you so that you can understand this very simply,
Yeah.
because I already know where you're going with this, so you don't even need to explain yourself. So fundamentally,
still
let's
will.
say you have a Pokemon card, right? That you shot somebody and you took that Pokemon card from them, right?
Mhm.
And then you come up to me and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you this Pokemon card," and I buy it from them, that person.
Mhm. Yeah.
Am I responsible for that person killing that person?
No, you're not.
Okay.
But
So
that's not my point.
okay, all right. And what is
So
your
what
point?
my point is that you have in your life, you will have two options. You can buy something and you have two items. One is say $2 and the other one is say $1. Okay? The $2 one has the people who make it for $2, they have their rights respected, they're allowed to prosper economically, all of the good shit that you want. That's what those people have. The $1 people have foreign intervention and suppressing their ability to earn their wages and to economically prosper, and so the costs are kept low. Now, you know
Or high.
that those bad things are happening to the people of the $1 people, but there is still an economic incentive to buy the thing for $1. It doesn't stop you from buying it. You are incentivized to participate in that. So your idea that there seems to be this idea that
Well, yeah, but
people
we're
will-
fighting to get rid of that. Us AnCaps,
Well-
we don't support the state going into foreign countries and restricting.
Well, that's why we have to destroy the police and the military.
Nobody's
Okay,
we don't
disagree there.
disagree with you on that. In fact, we said we agree with you on that.
That's awesome. I think.
Yeah, we agree with you,
where we
bro.
need to start.
We're on the same side,
Yeah,
man.
we wanna. That's not like obviously that's a priority. That's something important.
Hell yeah.
But
I mean, I
again,
do
once
think
it's for-
legalizing prostitution is pretty big in my book, but
Like,
you
I
know.
don't have a problem with like legalizing like whatever happens first. Like in terms of like what laws are getting repealed, how the state's power is being reduced. Like whatever, like it's fine, right? I'm for all of that.
No, but the problem I find is that ANCAP politics seems to be an excuse for the most corrupt corporations in society to attack the very few
No,
crumbs
absolutely not.
that
That's not
ordinary
us.
people have won. That might not be you. I'm not saying that's you, but I often find
But
that
ANCAPs, I don't know what ANCAPs are saying, like advocating.
okay, because well, what they start with is right.
they're not really
so I'm
ANCAPs.
trying-
They're doing that to be
so-
honest.
I would hope not.
Well, then fair enough. But that's why we should start with something that actually
Sadists.
hurts the corrupt people. So, for example, starting by getting rid of welfare or getting rid of public education or by getting rid of
Based.
supporting medical things, right? So that people can afford medicine. That helps these corrupt corporations more than it helps real ordinary people. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure I would agree.
So if the people who are most corrupt are advocating for getting rid of those things first, right, rather than something that actually hurts them, like getting rid of the
How do
police
these
or
things not
military.
hurt them?
So these things hurt them when they have to. So because public education is a thing, for example, private schools are competing against a free option, right? So they have to. It keeps
not
people
really
literate,
free.
keeps people educated. You have a population that can think critically for itself, engage with media better, and isn't wholly reliant on the charity of the most affluent in society. Or you take something like medicine. So because governments often broker for specific prescription prices, these corrupt companies, they can't price gouge the hell out of it, right? So if you remove that,
Abolish
well, then they
patents.
would. Well, then but the thing is, right? They want to start by removing the blocker to them price gouging, and then they'll turn around and say no. So, so you have to look at where do they want to start. If we start by attacking these small provisions that ordinary people have won, we're just helping the corporations.
What are
We're
those-
helping the most corrupt people.
How is
But if
welfare a
but if
small
we
provision?
But if we start by attacking the things that do help them, which would be the police and the military, well, then now we're threatening their power. Now we're actually going after them.
I mean, I don't disagree, but at the same time, I don't agree with the whole idea that welfare helps poor people. I disagree with that.
It's a band-aid.
I think welfare keeps people poor.
I think what welfare does is it makes poor people feel less.
I think it incentivizes
Bad.
poverty.
So-
In the short term, it makes people feel less bad, poverty feel less bad, but it makes people more poor.
But the problem is that under your solution, right, there would need to be a stateless society with no welfare to achieve your results, right? But unfortunately, we've tried a state society with no welfare before, and it's not good. Like it's bad. So
I think it's great. I thought it was
So
great.
no state, right?
no, I agree, no
ultimate goal.
state. Yeah, I agree, no
Okay,
state.
so
but what
any-
I'm-
So
no,
you're
no,
with
but what I'm
ANCAP now?
No,
No,
You're
no,
with
no.
us now?
Just take
No,
the
no, no,
steps to
I'm-
get there.
No,
You'll
no,
get-
no. But
you'll get-
what I'm saying is, right? Okay, no we have had a society that has a state and has no welfare, has no child labor laws, has no minimum wage, has no worker
Because we were much
protection.
poorer, that conditions were much worse.
Yeah.
The laws didn't magically
Well,
solve
but
anything. Child labor laws didn't solve
Correlation
But under-
doesn't equal causation,
under-
bro.
But it's just, well, I think they are caused. I think they are caused.
anything. What's the
No.
causal link?
The causal link would be the generating of profit above all else. But my question is, under an AnCap society, under your AnCap hypothesis, why did wealth increase? Surely, as more governments intervene, it should go backwards, right? That's what you should expect.
Yeah, but who's to say that the government, that the private property owners just got more wealthy despite the fact that the state was holding them back, and probably would have been more wealthy had the state not put those things in place. But you can't test for that.
So you would just be like, so to the person,
It's called the unseen cost, my dude.
So to the person, to the society that has, child labor and terrible working conditions and horrible,
Because they're poor.
80,
Literally because they're poor.
Yeah, that's
but you're
India
saying
right
they're
now.
They're poor.
No.
To make them rich.
And they have a lot of regulation, bro.
Hold on, stop. You're saying it's because they're poor, and then I point out that when the regulations came in, there was a
Correlation
growth in
doesn't equal
wealth, or at
causation.
least- yeah, that's right. Correlation doesn't.
Child
equal
labor was
causation.
decreasing.
Yeah, I could just say, hey,
But-
they would have been more richer had they not stepped in.
Oh, bro. Yeah, but that's the thing. You're talking about this alternate universe that you have no access to. You're like, well, if it didn't happen, we would have even been richer, and there would have been.
Yeah, but that's the
It's a free
problem.
market.
That's the
Free
problem
market,
with that's the problem with empiricism
HC.
when it comes to economics, because you can't really test for things that are not able to be seen after the policies been put in place.
Yeah.
So therefore,
Why should I believe
why
you?
should I believe me? Because fundamentally, when you steal money from people, they have less wealth, and we also have the economic calculation problem. You ever heard of the economic calculation problem?
Yeah, it's that there isn't enough brain power to calculate the cost of goods, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so basically, without the state, there's no private property in the means of production. In the state, there's no private property trading. There's no prices, no coordination.
It's
So
more
it's gonna-
fundamentally that without profits, which act as signals in the market, you can't have rational economic allocation
Yeah, so they're always going to be more inefficient than would
do
be
you think-
otherwise.
or calculation. Excuse me.
But do
Economic
you
calculation.
think that computers could handle
Nope.
economic
No.
calculations?
No, and the
If
reason
without
why,
profits, it's not without trade. In which voluntary trade generates prices, real market prices, and without those market prices, you can't do any actual rational economic calculation, which reflects
Why-
actual opportunity cost. Like you can't just say supercomputer, right? You actually need prices, and if you don't have trade, which is the more of a market or more of a state you have, the less trade you have.
oh, I can
about-
explain this very
Okay.
easily.
I think
So
I-
you
I
ever
think
go
I
on a
heard-
computer and you ever see like Facebook, and then you think of something, or you watch something on YouTube, and it just predicts like what they think you're gonna know, or you think you're gonna like, right? Does that make sense? So, for instance, you ever think about like Pokemon cards, and then you just go through Facebook, and then you see Pokemon cards, or you think of Pokemon cards or in another website. So the only reason why they're able to predict all that information is because what they're doing is they're observing what you do in the market, right? What you buy, what you sell, what you look for, right? And then based on that information, they judge what they think you want based on that information.
How volatile do you think markets are?
Very
Like,
volatile.
Do you think,
Well-
or do you?
But
because
wait, I'm not finished.
the
I wasn't
way
finished.
that-
I wasn't finished. Last point. So the thing is, without that information, without that the private property and the means of production, without prices, without private property, without trade, they have no way to know what you like, because they're not looking at what you're buying, what you're looking at, what you know, what you want. Now go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the economy seems to be based on consistency, like consistent orders, consistent selling, consistent. There's not. I don't know many companies that 1 week they're selling 100 things and the next week they're selling 10. You know what I mean? Generally companies want consistent orders with consistent buyers and consistent consumers. Why
No,
do you
but
think
that's
that everything would be so volatile that like one
well,
week...
because needs are subjective. Wants are subjective.
But every
Wants
are
shift over
subjective.
time. They can
Yeah,
shift pretty quickly.
people's
too.
wants shift.
But they also can
shift.
But they also can be fabricated.
I
How?
don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So like advertising, for
Sounds
example.
Marxist.
Like you can generate want in people. That's what advertising.
No. I
No,
mean, you're
what
just
advertisers
showing
do.
something.
Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
Right?
You're just showing something to them, right? And then they're going, actually, that looks pretty good. I want that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's all advertising is
Wait,
doing. They're not
They
inserting
do
anything into
want
your head.
things.
You don't think?
People,
you don't
do you not
think
believe how
there's-
people have free will? Like, it's people seeing
Uh,
these things and then choosing after the fact whether they think the product looks good via that.
You think that there's
just
no
based on-
manipulation when it comes to advertising? You don't think there's like?
Well,
I think there's
manipulation in what
but I
way?
think in a very broad sense.
In what way,
Not in
though?
this sense of like you're forcing.
Like, how are they manipulating you? Just because they show you
think
something
that
you
is-
might like? If I show you like a fidget spinner and you go, "Oh, that's cool," and then you want to buy one yourself, how am I manipulating you? I'm not manipulating you. I just showed you something you might like.
That's not how advertising works. Advertising is not, this is our product, look at it. Advertising is like, hey, bombastic music, sex appeal, lights, colors.
Yeah,
overload your
fundamentally, it's
brain.
just here.
I mean,
look at this
are
cool
they?
product.
If they're
Oh, we're gonna do
lying,
cool things.
that's fraud. But if they're not lying, if they're showing you their product and they're, they might say, "Hey, this is really cool" or something like that. But if they're not if they're just not lying about the product, they're being honest as to what it is, then I don't see any problem. I don't think advertisement is fundamentally like manipulating or anything like that.
Do you think advertisement generates demand where there otherwise wouldn't be?
Yeah, because you're showing
'Cause you're
people
showing
products.
yeah.
If you, how do you
If you're-
expect people to know your product if you don't advertise?
No, but I mean, because people have a need or they.
Because if you don't advertise products,
Yeah, but you could have fulfill a need for people, right? But if people don't know
Yeah, but
what you're selling, then how are they going to buy it? They're not going to know.
Yeah, but
So
what I mean is,
advertising does that, is like that middleman. You know what I mean?
there's a lot of things
But what I-
people would buy if they knew about those things.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean is like take something like sign value, right? Or I guess this would come back to patents or trademarks and things like that, which you'd probably be against. But there are things in this world that, two objects can cost exactly the same to produce, but because one has a label on it, that suddenly becomes, 10 times more expensive to buy.
Yeah, it's based on people's
Yeah, but that's
preferences, right?
reputation. That's reputation.
Yeah. Do you think that's real value?
Yes, of course it is.
Whatever people value something at.
So, for
Yeah, that is
instance,
what it's valued.
when you go to the store and you buy a Coca-Cola can, you know that you're going to get that Coca-Cola can. Even if you go to a dirty-ass restaurant or a dirty-ass fucking dusty-ass fucking Dollar Tree, right? If you buy a Coca-Cola can, you're going to get Coca-Cola. And that brand is what gives
What would it-
people that assurance that you're going to get quality. Brand is very important.
Do you mentioned that you work in a warehouse?
I do.
Well,
How's that going?
I love it.
Okay, awesome. What do you love about it?
I'm a hyperactive ass guy, so I love that I'm always on the move, and they let me listen to my earphones, so I can listen to books and things like that while I'm doing the job, so I don't mind it, and it pays
Okay.
good.
Do you? All right, that's good. Does it pay more than the median income in the US?
I don't know. I get
Let me
paid
think.
I don't know, like
Median
$20 an
income
hour or
in
so.
USA.
But I also do
median income-
DoorDash too.
Okay, so is $66,000. Wait. So you do door?
On top of my normal job, yeah.
Okay. Do you want? How many hours a week do you work?
Probably like 60,
60 hours.
sometimes more.
Do you want to work 60 hours a week? Like hypothetically, if you could work 40
Why he's doing
hours
it,
a
right?
week-
Well, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Well,
but
technically,
what
I
mean
would
is, like,
rather,
what-
and the reason why is because of the things that I'm able to get. So, for instance, I'm
Yeah, no-
able to live on my own, completely by myself. I have my own car, apartment. I don't have to worry about other people. So, what
Okay.
I get in return, I think, is far outweighs the sacrifices I give up.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, when you're 60 hours a week, is that to maintain your standard of living, or are you like saving towards something?
Oh,
Like,
I'm
are
saving.
you- Okay.
I'm saving.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
'cause I was
trying
gonna-
to
I was
at
gonna-
this moment. I'm actually like making way more than I need. I'm just choosing to work more because I want to save money to maybe get a house.
Okay. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well, I was gonna say, if you're working 60 hours a week to subsist, and in where previous generations only worked 40 hours a week to subsist, I would say that trend
That's
is going
false.
the wrong way.
By the way,
I don't think that's
Excuse me,
true.
it's
people
false.
used to work more. People
Used to work every single
steadily working
day.
less on average over time.
Yeah, man.
So
In a country like America, at least.
well,
Pretty sure.
in the 50s,
Like
how many hours?
people hundreds of years ago, they worked.
Oh, hundreds of years. I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. I said generations.
Oh,
I
generations.
said, like,
well,
in the previous
generations.
Yeah, but we are much more
Like, how long
wealthier than
ago?
the people in the 50s in terms of what we
I'm talking,
have.
like in the 50s.
Yeah, people are
60s,
still wealthier
70s.
today.
Yeah, we are way more wealthier today in terms of what we have in comparison to a person in the
Then-
Most
50s.
people like make more. Or like
Abs-
basically everyone makes.
Yeah, like a person.
Put it on average
Yeah,
Excuse me, I gotta bounce. Thanks for the chat, fellas.
it was nice talking to you.
All right. See you.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I don't know where there's like this myth that like a lot of people seem to fall for this, like, oh, we used to be wealthier in 50.
No, this is not hardcore.
Just look at any statistics. Not true. People make more. Have been making more steadily over time.
Yeah, if you look at the amount of the poverty rate and as well as the population
Just like
rate.
median income per year, household income, or whatever.
Yeah, like if you look at the poverty rate as well as the population rate, the population has been going up. Poverty rate has been going down. So, what does that tell you? You know? People are getting richer. When you would expect it to be the other way around, because if there's generally people's assumption was that when people had more people, there would be less resources to go around, but it's actually the opposite. The more people you
Well,
have,
because there's
it's
just more production too, right?
yeah, because of the
So you're able to provide for more people.
what is
As
it called? The
as
splitting of
population
labor, the division of there we go, division of labor. There we go.
Yeah, and like automation, I think has these technologies have greatly increased our ability to produce.
100%. The division of labor has helped us out a lot.
Yeah. Also, like earlier when like we're talking about child labor, like it's just not true. Like even I think when you look at like data like in America when we had
Hey, I know
child
you.
poverty, and you look at
KingSithis.
the
They're all
percent, I think like whatever measure you use, just like the amount of child labor over time in America, it started dropping before the first child labor laws went into place. So clearly there's not this relationship, or there's not some causal relationship between enacting child labor laws, or any labor laws for that matter, right? This goes for other labor laws that were in the past and today that are intended, like minimum wage and laws that are meant to protect workers. Like, it's not the case that it's just the laws bring about better conditions. You have to actually help. People need to become wealthier.
Cameron, you don't think child labor laws had an effect on child labor?
I think it's no, I don't think so.
No effect.
Well, I perhaps you could say like when, how do I put this? Like, I think what happened, like in America, and I'm sure this goes for other countries as well, is that when a country is like quite poor, you're gonna have a lot more child labor. As the country becomes richer, less children are just going to work, right? Because they don't need to actually go and work now, right? Because their parents are making a lot more money. And then maybe after a while, the state comes in, a government comes in and enacts these laws, and maybe that would definitely disincentivize any children that might still be working who are probably still very poor from working. So it may be a very minimal effect, but I think most of it comes from the greater expansion of like wealth in the society.
Yeah.
Wait, minimal up or minimal down?
As you have more
it
money,
might push child labor a little bit down.
as people have more richer, they don't need to have their kids work as much, and then they
No,
have
but
their
was
kids
he
less
saying
work
that child
less.
labor law, prohibition laws, increased or decreased the
I
amount
think
of
you
child
could
labor?
decrease it. I think you could decrease it like a little bit, right?
But the answer to my question, what was that?
Huh?
Like, did you think the child labor prohibitions increased a little bit or decreased a little bit the amount of child labor?
I think probably decreased.
But just not that much.
Yeah, not that much. I think most of it comes from. I think nearly all of it. Like I should pull up data right now. I don't have it in front of me. I've seen these numbers though. Like
I've seen the
it
numbers
was like
too.
before the laws ever came in place in like America. Like during the early 1900s is when they first started passing these laws.
Yeah, so for instance, if you look at like a lot of these the correlation and causation arguments, like for instance, a lot of these people when they show these statistics, they show like right when they put it into law, and they'd be like, oh look, child labor went down, so therefore it was this law that caused child labor to go down. But if you actually pull back and see what it was like before the law was put in place, you actually see child labor going down, decreasing at a similar rate, basically. So what we're saying is like it decreasing, we don't believe it was simply due to them making it illegal. We believe that it was also, well, mainly due to the rising incomes of people. And when you have rising incomes of people, generally they don't need to have their kid work, so they tend not to.
I'm just curious, since Cameron said it was like a little or some, I was just curious, like if he had like some grounding on like how much of an effect that was by how much it exactly reduced the amount of child labor in the country.
What's the question exactly?
But by how much do you think it reduced child labor? You said it was a little or some, like non-zero, but some.
Well,
I couldn't put an exact number
you
on it,
can't
I'm not sure.
calculate that. You can't calculate that because corollary studies can't show causation. You could only speculate on the causation.
What do you mean by speculate?
Well, in the sense that you can't point to a specific graph and say this caused this amount of this effect on this amount of people, because you can't really correlation doesn't equal causation. You can only see what it was like before and afterwards, and then make a sort of a guess as to what you think would have affected that thing most likely.
You mean there's no methodology that could, with 100% certainty, sort of measure the causal effect of that policy? Is that what you're saying?
Not as far as I could tell, no.
But
not with
certainty.
Not with certainty.
Sure. But with some confidence interval, you'd imagine there are some methodologies that could produce some causal effect, right?
I don't think any study could produce a causal effect, but what they can do is they can have high correlation. So there are some studies that be like, oh, there's a high correlation between this and this. But they would never say, oh, this causes this, unless they have some sort of this thing did this to that. You know what I mean? But with studies, it isn't that simple. Especially with economic studies.
You don't think there's a single economic research method that could, adduce causality?
No. And if there is, I would be likely to hear. I would be love to hear it.
Have you heard of like RDD?
No.
Have you heard of like QE?
No.
Have you taken a class on research methods?
No.
Have you taken a class on statistics?
No.
Have you gone to college?
No.
But you do debate on Discord most days.
Yes.
Okay. Wait, so Cameron, regarding like this, like
Wait, but wait,
small
you didn't
causal negative
explain
effect,
how it
about
does
much do
cause
you
the
think?
effect. You didn't explain how you can find causal links in a study or causal effects in a study.
Did
You
I make
just
that claim?
well, you asked me, do you believe that there's no way in which you could find something causal in a study? And I said no, not when it comes to economics. And then you seemed like, and then you mentioned a whole bunch of examples, which I assumed were ways in which you can find causal links in studies. Was I incorrect in that assumption?
But the answer to my question, did I ever make a claim there? I'm sorry.
I was asking you, do you think you can find causal causes in a study? Like, could you say this caused this based on this statistic? You think you could do that?
Mm,
Especially when it comes to economics?
do you think that would advance the discussion?
Of course.
Do you think it would help me get an answer from Cameron?
What
I
is the
mean,
question?
because the question is about, you're asking Cam, the question that you ask Cam is how are you determining whether or not,
That wasn't my question.
well, you didn't let me finish, whether or not the child labor laws didn't cause
It
that
wasn't a how
thing to go
question.
down.
No, it wasn't a how question. It was a how much question. Like
Or how
he said, it
much,
was
yeah.
slightly negative.
I don't
was
know.
curious if he had like more.
I can't
something
put an
specific.
exact number on that. I have no idea.
Yeah, because
You
you
have no
can't
idea.
find
Really,
a causal link in
that's not really the
studies.
exact argument I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to like cite specific numbers here.
Do you like specific numbers or not really?
They don't have a problem with them.
I like 69.
True. Wait, but Cameron, like, I'm not like asking you to like do some like crazy science in this voice call, but you seem to have this
I don't
impression
know
that
if
there
you
was
can
like
attribute a specific number. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. I don't really know. I
sure,
don't think
sure,
that's
sure.
necessary for the argument I'm making.
No, I'm just curious. Like, you seem to think it's
I don't,
slightly
again, I
negative.
don't know.
Sure, you
I
seem
don't
to
know
think
an
it's
exact number.
Well, let me ask the question. You seem to think
I
it's like
prefer
slightly
honesty.
negative, the effect. And I'm just curious, like, is that like from history or historical stuff, or is it like a sociological
Yeah,
thing,
it's
or is it like
historical. I'm making an historical argument here, just
could you
based off of
explain?
based off of like if you just look up um the percentage of children laboring, right, in America over time, like, so we're talking like mid to late 1800s and then into the early 1900s. You can just see over
Sorry.
time there's less child labor. Before child labor is fully outlawed, it was in like 1938 when that happened. Like, child labor was already very rare by like the 1930s, right? It had already been going out of fashion just because people became wealthier. That
Do you
was
think the laws like caught the tail
basis of my
end?
argument. Yeah, absolutely.
But you
That's
just
literally
also
just historically true.
even if so, I'm
No,
just
it
curious,
is.
like,
I'm asserting that it is true.
okay, but suppose it weren't for a second. Like, let's just entertain the
Okay.
principle. You seem to think that like these laws in themselves had like a slightly negative effect on the levels of child labor in this country.
Sure, because I think
Um,
that produces a disincentive, right? Because it's like you're going to get in legal trouble, right? If you're, hiring children
who does it
beforehand.
disincentivize?
Like people who are employers who are hiring children, and also I guess children themselves.
You think it slightly
Like,
increases the cost of employing children because there's like an additional
well, because
amortized
like
or
you're going to get in legal
prorated
trouble,
liability?
right?
Yeah,
It's a disincentive
it,
when you
it,
make
it makes
something
it a
illegal.
slightly less business friendly environment for practices employing children, right?
Yeah.
And that would just naturally disincentivize the employment of children.
Well, yeah, if you're going to get in trouble with the government, go to jail, get fined due to hiring children, you're probably not going to hire children. But at this
Okay.
point, child labor is already so rare that like the people who were hiring children, they're probably just going to stop for the most part.
Child labor
Then you just.
is good, right?
I mean, as long as it's not forced. Yeah. And then you're not
I
putting
think
the
if,
child in any
you have a
serious
very
danger.
I think if you have a very poor family, and in order for them to really live, the children or a child, whatever, pretty much needs to work. Then I say go ahead, let them work. Like they're gonna fucking die if they don't.
Yeah.
Basically.
And
Or they're just gonna start selling drugs illegally or something, right? They're gonna do some illegal work instead.
So you would get rid of the child labor statutes on the books, right?
Yeah, me too.
I don't think the state has the right to come in, and force say, hey, you can't hire children, or children you can't work, or whatever.
Like, I could see a kid working at McDonald's. I don't see the issue with that.
Yeah, like I think it also depends on the specific kind of job. Like I don't think it's okay for children to like go and work in a dangerous environment like a coal mine, right? Where it's like they can't really give informed consent. Like they don't know, they just can't do that because it's too dangerous. They
Yeah,
can't
but I
really
think like if it's a normal job, so long as when obviously like a coal mine, obviously that's a little bit dangerous and you can harm the child. But there are so many jobs that I think are perfectly okay for a kid to do. Like when I was a kid, I used to go around and shovel snow in front of people's houses. And people would
I
pay
don't
me.
think there's any problem with like kids doing things like run lemonade stands, and that's kind of like, even if they're working for some company, they could be doing some work that's equivalent to fucking running a lemonade stand or something.
Actually, believe it or not, it's actually illegal in some places to run a lemonade stand. You actually have to get a license, believe it or not.
Like a permit.
Mm-hmm. Which is some bullshit. That is total bullshit.
I mean, ultimately, it's solely the parent's choice, right? Especially as the kid gets younger, right?
If they're the guardian of the child, then they have say over whether they can
Like
work.
you don't imagine that like an 8-year-old can consent to work on its own, right?
No, you would have to have the parents' permission, obviously. I would say so.
But it's only the parents' permission, right?
I mean, I don't think you could. I don't think you would have the right to. I don't know. I don't think you'd have the right to force your kid to work if they don't want to. Like if they explicitly don't want to. But then I don't know.
So you would pass a law that's like, child labor. It's good so long as the kid consents to, but the kid can sort of like withdraw at
It's
any
not passing
point.
a law, it's repealing.
It would be
Child labor
repealing the
laws,
current
right?
law. Yeah.
Sure, but you just endorse like a policy platform that has as its tenets that at the very least, if the kid withdraws its consent, it's over, right? But otherwise, it's sanctioned, right?
Yeah, you can't force
Yeah, but
the
that would
children to work.
be just that law would be already currently on the books, which would be no slavery.
No slavery.
All we would need to do is just abolish the child laws, and if somebody's forcing a kid to work, that's slavery.
If a parent forces a kid to do something that the kid doesn't want to do and it's economically productive, that's slavery.
I mean, yeah, it could be.
But like legally, it's slavery, is what you were saying, right?
I mean, I don't know the current
If
law.
forcing
I'm telling
someone
you
to
what
do
I
it, you don't
believe.
know?
know it's slavery.
I don't know the current law. I'm
Might
telling
agree.
you what I believe.
But you
But I
believe
believe-
it would be against the law insofar as it contravenes statutes against slavery, right?
In ANCAP, it would be against the law to force. I'm pretty sure it would be against the law to do
No,
that.
but I asked if you would pass a new law into the books. You said, "Oh, we don't need it because we already have that law." I assume you're referring to the U.S. there, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's already illegal to force your kid to work, right?
But you want to get rid of that statute, right?
To get rid of the no kids working at all.
Oh, you're
But-
thinking like a repeal and a replace. Like we get rid of the statute and we add a new one that allows it
No,
only insofar as the kid doesn't
because
opt out.
slavery is already illegal, as far as I could tell.
As per which statute? Like I think you mean the Constitution, right?
I can't point you to the statute that says slavery is
I think it's-
illegal.
I think it's the- no, I
I
think
don't
it's the
know it
14th
off the top
Amendment.
of my head. I'll be honest with you.
You should. I think it's the 14th Amendment.
I don't support the Constitution. I'm not a statist.
The 13th Amendment.
Oh,
You
you're
don't
right.
see. You don't even know.
Bro, you
You should
didn't even
know,
cite the correct
bro.
one.
You should
I'm
know,
asking you.
bro.
Okay.
I mean,
I
you
don't
have some
think the
idea
government
like
dictates the law
there's
anyway,
there's
so-
an amendment there.
Aren't you against slavery, dude?
I'm just not sure that like making your kids do things that are economically productive, even though they don't want to. I'm not sure if that's slavery in the sense that like the amenders
Or no, give an
contemplated.
example that you think isn't slavery of what you're
I
describing.
don't know, bro. I mean,
That
maybe
you
you
think
could
isn't
make a
slavery, I
case
mean.
for it in some situations, but as far as I could tell, I don't know. I don't think so.
What do you mean?
What? Were you saying that to me? Or are you saying that to him?
To you?
Oh, I was saying maybe in some situations you could maybe argue that some kids do need to do certain things that their parents tell them. You know, but I'm not
Is
sure.
it only slavery insofar as the conduct that's being compelled against the consent of the child is economically productive?
I don't know where the line is. I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure it's. I don't know. I think as long as you're not.
What do you mean by economically productive?
I don't know. Economically productive would.
Uses-
I'm pretty sure would just.
I'm asking
Sorry, you
him.
go. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I'd rather Sithis give it because he's probably gonna have a more
You're the-
ANCAP framed
you're the one
definition
that
that you'll like more.
You keep
Yeah, I know, but you guys
citing
like,
economic
like
productivity. I want to know what you
no, no,
think.
no, no, but you guys have like the same like ANCAP worldview. So like whatever he
I want
gets is
you. I
probably,
know.
like,
I want you to say
more
what you think.
agreeable.
first, 'cause
Well, how about I
mean,
say what I
it's-
think, and then you tell me if you think I'm wrong. How about that? And
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
so economically productive would mean like putting them to work in some job that would produce more than what it cost.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't need to go through the whole rigmarole, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's a sort of case by case basis sort of situation, you know. I guess it depends on whether or not you're putting them in danger or not. I can't
I'm just
really
not
give.
sure,
It just
like-
comes
I'm not
down to
sure
don't
I can,
force people to labor against their will.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can give you a precise answer on that. I'll have to look into the
Do you
libertarian
think
ethics on that one.
Sure, like, but like broadly, do you think like slavery simpliciter has like economic criteria?
In some cases, yeah, it can because it can, but in not all situations. I would say slavery would be, well, how I would define slavery would be just the treating another person's body as if it's your property. So like if I force you to do something against your will, when you're explicitly telling me like you don't want it, then I would say that's definitely an aggression or a treating someone's body as if you own it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how like the exercise of the rights it all relates to it being economically productive insofar as it being slavery in some sense contemplated by the amenders.
I don't know. Ask ChatGPT. You're getting too deep for
Wait,
me right
what
now.
was the question? Wait, what did you say?
Is that what you tend to do?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What about me?
Is that what you tend to do?
Yeah, I generally tend to just ask ChatGPT whenever I don't know a question. I ask it like, what do you think what's the libertarian ethics response to this argument? And generally it gives me a pretty good answer.
I know sometimes people online will say that's like a intellectual failure. Like, how would you respond to those arguments?
Well, you can't know every situation, sometimes there's going to be questions that people ask you that you're not always going to know the direct answer to. So sometimes you kind of have to do your research.
There's not a problem with trying to learn something,
Yeah.
right? Like Googling things.
Mhm.
I think asking ChatGPT is that different from
Like you can't expect
You
to
think
even if you got like a socialist guy or Hassan Piker in front of me, if you think he would be able to answer every single question about socialism,
fucking idiot anyway.
I wouldn't expect that from him. I would expect him to give me kind of like the basic answers of a socialist, right? And then, maybe there's going to be questions he's probably not going to know.
Do you think the people making those comments are just like trying to keep you down with epistemic snobbery?
Money,
Epistemic what?
epistemic snobbery. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. I think that,
think they think they're
fundamentally,
better.
you can't expect any human being to know everything about their whole ideology. I mean, even religious people who spend their whole life studying their religion don't know everything about their religion.
Do you think there's like a superiority complex there, or not really?
I don't know. I don't know. Depends on the person, I guess.
Do you feel like the AnCaps are the downtrodden?
A little bit. We're certainly an oppressed minority. No.
Who's doing the downtrodden or the oppression?
The government.
It's true.
More so than for other people?
Well, not more so than for other people, but I mean, they don't. The government doesn't really like us because we push up against their power. So
The government targets you guys?
I mean, they have.
No, they might.
They could. I mean, look
Has
what
it
happened
ever
to Lars
happened?
Ulrich.
What happened to Lars
I
Ulrich?
mean,
He got sentenced to life in prison because he opened up a drugstore on the internet.
wait, what was his name?
He broke the laws?
Lars
Oh, the-
Ulrich or something like that.
Oh, I think
That sounds like a Dutch name to me.
Oh, yeah, he was American.
Wasn't he like
But he was white.
selling? He had like.
He had
yeah,
a darknet
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
website
He got like.
in
Didn't
which
he get released though?
Wait,
Yeah.
so was
Did he
he?
get pardoned?
yes, he did.
Was he prosecuted
PW.
because he broke the laws or because he was a libertarian?
Both.
The illegitimate quote unquote.
Is your
laws?
belief that had not he been libertarian?
No, they
or
literally
openly
put in
so-
they literally put in the documents saying that like he was anti-government and shit like that. So yeah, like I would say it had a
Oh, you're saying that like in court proceedings, your specific brand of pro-child slavery ideology can sort of count against you.
Wait,
How is it
what? When did we
pro-child
say we
slavery?
were
Hold on.
pro-child slavery?
We're anti.
Oh, sorry,
slavery.
child labor, not slavery. Very different.
Hold on. Do you
Wait.
think all child labor is slavery?
No, not all child labor is slavery.
I'm asking him.
In the way that
Because you
the
just
statute
basically said
contemplates
that.
it, I'm not familiar with the exact contours of that statute, to be honest.
Why are you?
Well, I mean,
talking
what
about
do you think?
statutes? Here's about the statutes.
Yeah,
But
what do
I
you
think
think?
words mean things in context.
What do you think?
What?
I don't imagine that he was indicted for the reason that he expressed libertarian views online. It was probably because he broke the law.
I didn't say it was because of that.
Mm.
I said
Wait,
he-
how did they like? How did his like stated libertarian pro-child labor position?
What is what does his pro child labor have anything to do with this?
Well, I mean, you said he was
I
like
mean,
broadly within your ecosystem. of
Okay, but what
ideas,
does that
so-
have to do with anything? That doesn't mean
But you
anything.
said that his like expressed.
Are you not
We
pro
don't know.
child?
I don't know.
Wait, are you not pro child
Was he
labor?
pro-child labor?
So, wait, do you think children should never work ever?
Based.
Why not? What if they
Okay,
want
so
to work?
the poor children should starve, right? Because they don't get to work.
What
So
if the
they
kid
should-
wants
they
to
should
work?
Starve, right? So make
but
it
you
illegal
said
for
this
them
is
to work, so they can starve to death. Is that what you're?
No
that's what you're
lemonade
advocating for, I
stands.
don't-
No lemonade
Okay.
stands.
True. No lemonade stands. We're
No
going
lemonade
towards
stand.
Earth.
Why?
We're going
Sorry,
towards
kids in
Earth.
Sorry, kids in Bangladesh, you have to starve to death. No work.
Yeah, no, fuck you. Yeah, you want to start a
We're in
lemonade
Bangladesh,
stand?
I'm
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's fucking lots of child labor in fucking
I'm still.
country like Bangladesh. That's what I'm saying,
You-
right?
you
And they're
should
gonna
maybe
start.
move
Why
there.
no?
That'd be
Why
your
no?
country.
Can you justify that? Why no
I should go there
lemonade
and make
stand?
them ANCAP. That would be based.
Why no lemonade stand?
Maybe they're already in.
Then they
camp.
become rich, and the children would be able to stop working without starving to death.
Wait, but I want to know why no lemonade stand?
Well, it would be like a form of mourning for the poor dude who got prosecuted for being a libertarian.
No. I'm asking you why no lemonade stands?
It would exactly no lemonade stands as like a form of mourning in recompense for the grave injustice done unto that libertarian who was prosecuted on that basis.
No. I'm asking you
What?
why are you against lemonade stands? That's what I'm asking you.
In the year now and going forward, for the reason I gave, that being as mourning or recompense for the grave injustice done to that libertarian who broke the law and was
So
you know,
you think
subjected to
we
his
should have no
excuse
lemonade
me.
stand because of that one libertarian?
as like mourning. I think it's a.
But
Morning
he did
for
what? That doesn't make any
I
sense.
don't know what's the relationship.
It's like when you put the flag at half mast, because he was like so seriously injusticed by the system.
He
That
was.
there has to be
Whose rights did he
Exactly.
violate? Whose rights did he violate?
Yeah, he was thrown. Wasn't he thrown in a cage for simply selling or setting up a system where
A
people could
cage, no
voluntarily buy
less?
drugs?
He was thrown into a cage for selling
cage.
Is that
drugs.
not what is that not what prison is? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he was imprisoned. What was his name?
Lars Ulbrich or something like that.
Lars.
Ulbricht.
Do you know the specific nature or the specific way in which like his stated libertarian positions, which may or may not have included pro-child labor, at least insofar as against that statute, counted against him in court?
Well, because he sold drugs.
No, but you said he had like certain libertarian views, and those
Yeah,
libertarian
he
views
thinks he
on their
should be
own
allowed
hurt
to
him.
sell drugs. He thinks he should be allowed to sell drugs, so he did. He made his whole thing. He made his whole things because he was basically saying like, "Oh, I think that we should be allowed to sell drugs," and so
was
he
this
did.
at sentencing, or was this like satisfying some intent?
What?
Did this occur during sentencing, or was this in the assessment of intent?
No, he said this many times during his
You know what I mean? When was it relevant?
relevant to what?
The court proceedings.
No, you were asking me why his libertarian views
It would be
contributed
cool if they
to
could release this
him
on the
getting
Switch.
arrested, and I said,
Not the arrest. I'm talking about like what you said about his like stated views, like accounting for court proceeding. Maybe you mean just the probable cause of his arrest warrant was impacted.
no,
Is
he
that what you're saying?
got caught selling. He got his laptop stolen by the FBI when he was
No,
at a
but
library.
are you saying that like, hey, in the probable cause statement, the police included his libertarian statements that made it more likely for them to actually secure the arrest warrant? Is that what you're saying?
No, I never said that.
Do you think that?
I don't know.
Because like I'm just curious, like where in the litigation, like his stated libertarian positions actually hurt him. Because like I could see
He
it
supports
sentencing, like,
legalizing
this guy's-
drugs, and he sold drugs. So his stated libertarian position got him arrested, bro, because he sold drugs.
Well, you already said that, but for that like stated position, you don't think he would have not been arrested. So that
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
really
if he
stand
didn't
up.
believe selling drugs was bad, he would have not done it, and then he wouldn't be in prison.
Oh, you're saying his very act of selling the drugs was expressive conduct that should be, protected as speech. Is that
Bro,
what
you're being
saying?
way too autistic with this, bro. I don't think
I'm just trying to-
you're
I'm
asking
being
me the most
objective.
autistic fucking question, and you're making my head hurt right now.
I'm
Please,
just trying to understand like the way
no,
in which libertarians
you're
are
no,
oppressed more so than other
you're just
criminals.
you're just never gonna understand, bro. You're just not,
Well, 'cause
because you're
to me,
asking me
like,
the most
he
dumbest
went to
fucking
jail
question.
because he did
You're making my
crime.
head hurt.
He did quote unquote crimes, right?
But, like,
I don't-
other
I don't-
criminals-
But what
libertarians
did he
don't-
do wrong? He did nothing wrong.
Wasn't real. They weren't real crimes.
He
That's
did
what
nothing
libertarians-
wrong.
Sure, but other
What he
criminals
did
who
wasn't
don't-
criminal.
Sure, but communists who commit crime also go to jail, right? It's not just you guys.
Okay, did they violate anyone's rights?
In fact, like virtually every like ideology that commits crime goes to jail. Like it's not just you guys.
Yeah, but we
If you're
didn't
under
commit a
that
crime.
notion.
He didn't commit a crime.
Yeah,
Where's the
But he
victim?
did commit a crime.
Where's the victim?
Why would it? Wait,
Which
you think
crime?
for it to be a crime, it needs a victim? At least
Yeah, if
in
there's no
American law?
victim, there's no crime.
we're not
In
legal.
American law?
Like
Not under the current law, under what we believe, bro. We believe in NAP, man.
So when I said he broke a crime, therefore he went to jail, you thought I meant he broke an NAP theoretical crime.
He didn't.
Not just, like,
He didn't.
broke
I
American
don't
law.
consider
broke a
the
fake
states.
crime.
I don't consider the state's laws to be legitimate. So I don't consider him to
Oh.
actually be
Wait,
He broke a
violating
crime.
anyone's rights. He didn't violate anyone's rights. He did not commit a crime. There
Well, let
was
me just
no
restate.
victim.
Sure. Insofar as he contravened, the statutes on the book in the USA or wherever the jurisdiction was.
He broke
He then
the
went to
current
jail.
law under the current status system. I'll give you that. Yes.
Yeah.
But he did
let's just-
nothing
yeah.
wrong.
Sure, but other people who broke that law or other laws who weren't libertarian also go to jail.
Yes,
the
but
current
he
system.
did nothing wrong.
Okay.
And
you're-
they
you're saying
deserve
that
to
there's,
be
like,
free.
Yeah, that's bad too.
Treatment,
That's bad
oppression, or
too.
undertreading afoot, but like
Yes.
clearly that's not the case.
We're an
in
oppressed
this-
minority.
I mean, I thought.
But
I think
you're
also
not,
that
because
people
like
are
everyone
oppressed.
else.
Yes, we
also
are,
goes to
bro.
jail when they break
We're an
the laws
oppressed
on the books.
minority. No. Bro, he got like life in prison.
Like, is it your view that the prisons are solely full of libertarians? That everyone there is a libertarian? It's like
Yes.
AnCapistan in the
Yes.
federal jails. Is that what you think?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
you should go there. You should
Yeah.
take like a fucking
You should come with me.
a sabbatical to the jail. Yeah,
You should come with me.
it'll be like Mecca, libertarian Mecca in the jail,
Yes.
where all the libertarians are kept
Yes.
unfairly.
Yeah, I know. We're an oppressed minority.
Exactly.
Exactly. So are you going to join us or what?
I don't quite fancy
Or
going to
going to
jail, to be
prison.
honest.
No, I'm not gonna go to jail. I'm gonna stay out of jail.
For a righteous cause.
Yeah.
This sounds like you're
Sometimes in
letting
life you
yourself
have
be
to make
silent.
sacrifices, okay? For the greater good of society and mankind.
What is the greater good of you staying out of jail? Like your Twitch streams?
Yes. And YouTube.
The fact that he's
0
not going to
viewers,
be
2
thrown in a
viewers,
cage.
maybe?
I would prefer not to be thrown in a cage, you know, personally.
The greater good would be that his rights wouldn't be violated.
Yeah, but don't
Yeah.
you think it'd have like more of an audience impact if like there were press releases about your arrest unfairly than merely your
No.
like 2 viewer?
Yeah,
Twitch
but then I'd be
stream?
in jail. So
You thought we were talking about the
Sure,
greater good. Now it's
no,
talking about like your personal
no,
convenience.
no. I don't think that's good.
Oh, okay.
Well, it wouldn't be good.
I don't think that's good.
Because it would be wrong.
Because
It would
you
be
know
wrong
what?
to do that.
Utility is subjective. Value is subjective, okay? I don't value that.
True.
You see.
I don't value that.
Yeah. Are you trying to get me thrown in prison? Is that what you want?
I don't know.
I don't think they're rounding up the libertarians just yet. But if they were, maybe I'd be increasing your liability.
Why
I
should
don't know.
we not be allowed to open up a lemonade stand? Why should kids not be allowed to open up a lemonade stand?
Well, are they libertarian kids or not libertarian
Any
kids? Well, I think since we're rounding up libertarians, we have to be consistent, including with children. So no to the libertarian kids.
Well,
Why?
What's the relevance of them?
What's the
being- I don't
relevant
think-
that
Because
them
if we're
being
rounding up
libertarian?
libertarian
Kids
adults, why
don't
not
fucking
start young?
believe in ideology. They're fucking
I don't think
kids.
they're. Children are retarded. I don't think
That's
they're-
obviously not true. A lot of kids are.
They don't
communists,
know
a
what
lot
the
of
fuck
kids
they're
have
talking about,
crazy-
bro.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they don't-
if you
they're
can,
a bunch of retards. They're children.
yeah, and that's
don't have
more the
developed
reason
minds.
to lock them up. Maybe they could get some education.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do
Might
after
throw-
they get out of
bruh,
school? What
I'm
are they
throw
gonna do
people in
after they?
education camps like China, bro?
What are you gonna do when they have summer school, right? Hey,
Well, I mean,
when they're
you should
when the
even like this
summertime,
arrangement. 'Cause
They got
They can work in
summertime.
jail.
they
your
could go
favorite.
and start up a lemonade stand.
Or do they
Yeah, but why
for
work
this-
on lemonade stands when they could instead of work at the prison, which would be, a full year
Why
engagement?
would you want a
Hey.
kid to go to prison?
Well, for many reasons, not least of which the one you just gave, that of child labor good.
I don't think it's bad. What's
Okay.
wrong with child labor?
Good.
Well, exactly. That's why they can do child labor at the prison, in the prison yard.
Yeah, but kids don't deserve to go to
Sounds fine.
jail unless they violate someone's rights, like kill someone or something. Maybe I don't know.
They don't deserve to go to jail. What's wrong about it?
Well, it depends on what they did.
No, not about like what would merit it.
An aggression. It would be.
As
an
far as I
aggression.
can tell, they still get an education, and they get the opportunity to do child labor, which we like in this call, and they're sort of in solidarity with the other libertarians who've been
Prison.
arrested.
The state has imprisoned them. We don't like that. Or they
Are you
would.
fucking?
That's
You
what
got to
we
be
have.
trolling at this point. My goodness.
Well, obviously he's trolling.
My goodness. It's kind of.
But you're not
up, bro.
trolling about the child labor good thing, though, right?
Hold
Well,
on. Why
I'm-
is child?
what's
hold on,
wrong
why
with
is
child
chi- why
labor?
is
I
poor
wanna know
children
what's wrong with
starving
it.
Better than them working?
Yeah, true.
Why is poor children starving better than them working? Please answer that.
Who said the
Why
children were
can't a
poor?
kid open a lemonade stand?
I'm talking about. My God, because that's the fucking kids who work. Do you not understand? We've already gone over this. The poor children are the ones who are most likely to go into work. That's how it's always been. That's how it is today.
What's
Already
wrong
covered
with a
this.
kid opening a lemonade stand? I don't see the problem.
Mm,
What are they doing wrong?
would you support the kids selling cocaine at their lemonade stand?
Probably not.
Wait, really?
Bro, that's a fucking dangerous substance. It's different. You're talking about lemonade.
Is that not what your hero
I don't-
did? He basically had a lemonade stand, but for coke.
He was
Bro,
an adult and he.
You're not answering,
Adults,
you're
presumably.
dodging the question. Why can't a kid open up a lemonade stand?
Mm,
Why should you stop them with force?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
I think it sets a dangerous precedent because if kids can't sell lemonade, then they won't also be allowed to sell cocaine. And cocaine sale is obviously
So
free
you
speech.
want kids to sell cocaine?
I want a consistent standard. Like it can't just be that we're picking and choosing. Like
I
I'm
mean,
not
it
sure what
is-
distinguishes lemons from cocaine, to be honest.
Wow.
Because children can't handle dangerous
R.I.P.
substances.
Mr.
They can't
Ulbricht,
give consent to do
hero.
that, I don't think. To who?
I don't think it's a good
I dream
idea
of
to
a
let kids
libertarian
handle
future where they
drugs.
kill kid. Well, I just dream of a libertarian future where the kids sell not just lemonade, but also cocaine and also fentanyl, also Xanax.
I dream
All
of the
array of
status future
pills.
where the poor children starve to death because they're not allowed to work. That's what I want.
Well, they would need to eat less if they were on cocaine. Have you thought about that?
Oh.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Or Adderall.
Exactly.
Give a meth.
That was the future that Mr. Ulbricht dreamed of. It was unfairly
I
cut
highly
short
doubt
because he
it.
had to go to prison. It was unfair. It was crazy.
I
Bro,
think
do
he
you
set up
do you
a
even
website
know
where
what your
adults
name
sold and
even
bought
says?
drugs.
Are you even Chinese?
It says Manabe.
Are you
And it's
even
not
Chinese, bro?
Is it Japanese?
It's not Chinese.
Are you even Chinese, bro?
It's not Chinese.
But are you Chinese?
But it's not.
I'm
Wait,
not
are you?
asking you that. I'm asking you if you're Chinese.
What does it have to do with the not Chinese
What is it then?
characters in my name?
What is it?
Because you might be. We gotta know whether you're Chinese.
Yeah, we gotta know if you're Chinese. Are you a communist?
You could still be Chinese. I don't know. Regardless of what text says.
Communist China?
It's more like capitalist China.
I don't know
I
about
don't
that.
think so.
I love World of Warcraft. Cam, you should play World of Warcraft
Why should I play World of Warcraft?
because it's good. WoW Classic is really good. Also, I got my
Right.
The overlay on the of the Discord, so now people can see who's talking.
Oh shit, that's so cool.
That's a good idea.
All right, well, I'm gonna head out. But if I ever meet like a kid who like needs some child labor, I'll send them your direction because I know you guys are looking. Okay,
I'll put them to
keep
work.
an eye out.
Right, if they're gonna starve
put
to
'em
death
to work.
without the money,
Put them
then
to work
sure.
on the debate,
on.
mines, coal mines,
Yeah.
in the World of Warcraft mines.
We'll
okay?
turn them into a
Alright.
master debater.
They're gonna starve to death otherwise. Okay. I guess the children shouldn't let the Bangladeshi children starve to death. Who cares?
No,
They
no
can't work
lemonade
and leave.
stand. No lemonade
It's like-
stand.
Their families in dire poverty and they need to sell fucking lemonade. They can't because child labor bad.
Yeah.
Fucking retarded. Gotta go for a second.
No problem, bro. Yeah. I still haven't got a good answer as to what's wrong with child labor.
Strength and honor, dab blood and thunder, for the Horde. strength. Some. Go forth to victory.
What be on your mind? You be careful, man.
Graw. Be safe.
All right, very good. Would be kind of cool if they did release this on Switch or any console. I think it's pretty damn cool to... I think World of Warcraft is a pretty damn fun game. I think Classic could definitely be played on a controller without any issues, I don't think. With the controller, I don't think you should have any issues with Classic. Maybe like the retail version would have too many abilities, but Classic version has like so little abilities. That's what I'm trying to say. It has a lot less abilities, so it'll be much easier. There's actually like a really good add-on that you could download that allows you to use a controller on World of Warcraft.
I'm planning on modding my Switch after Nintendo ends their support.
Make it so you can install if you could make it so that you can install Windows on it, you will be able to play World of Warcraft. It would probably be tricky to set up, but you could figure it out, I'm sure.
I could possibly get a Linux distro on it.
Probably. I really have no idea.
Just stopping by to remind you for your real purpose you've been born for.
I remember you, man. He said that I was a true actor, that I need to be an actor. I remember you, man. You're funny.
Ha 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 ha.
I remember you, man. It's good to
Yeah,
see you,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
It's good to see you, man. Just back to WoW Classic, you know?
I hope you doing well. Also happy holidays.
You too, man. I hope you're doing well too, man. It's good to hear from you. I hope you've become an AnCap.
Alright, what's back?
What's good, man?
I think the only reason people fear child labor so much is because what it looked like in the 1800s and 1900s, like in industrial countries at that time, that's like way worse than what it would be like today. Like, it would not be like that if we had child labor. There would probably wouldn't be like, if there was child labor, it'd probably be like a tiny bit in the poorest areas of countries like America, right? These wealthy countries. And so there'd be very little of it. And I do not think it would be very dangerous jobs, right? I think it'd literally be like children working at like, I don't even know, like a store. I don't know what they could even use them for exactly, but I guess they could in theory.
You can't ban dangerous jobs in the end of the day. Just what it is.
I think the problem with dangerous jobs for children, which you can quantify, right? You can see like how you can literally, there are statistics out there which show like which jobs are the most dangerous, right? And so I think the principle there for banning those for children, right, for people, and when we say children, in the libertarian sense, I mean like people who can't express their will, people who can't give informed consent. So that's like, you know, that is like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, right? You know, these young humans. So for them, given that they can't really consent, right, because they, you know, have underdeveloped minds, they're children. You know, they can't give informed consent. They don't understand what they're getting into. If they go and work in a mine, or they go and work on some ship, or they go and work as like a lumberjack, like these are dangerous jobs, so they can't consent to that.
Yeah, they're not able to fully understand the ramifications of joining something like that.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what it's like.
So that's why it's not like, oh, you're just gonna have children doing these crazy, terrible jobs. Like, really
there's some jobs that are too complex for your average kid and way too dangerous.
Yeah.
But there are some jobs that don't do any real danger to them, you know? And
yeah, like, I don't know, being a cashier would be an example. I don't know if a child could manage that, but
I think your average kid, I think like, you know, I think there may be like an age limit probably where they're too young, but
yeah, because it comes down to like one's brain, but like that for like 5-year-olds, it's just never going to be possible that a 5-year-old could do any job. Well, no, I don't think so.
Probably not. No, they're too young.
Or like just for a better case, like a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old can't fucking do anything like for a job. So
yeah,
there's just going to be certain ages where like obviously not. But I don't know why that guy's acting like I think pro child labor is a weird way to frame it. I mean, okay, sure, I am pro child labor if that means, you know, what that really means in practice is letting poor children usually work. Otherwise, their families are going to be in a much worse situation. They're already very poor. That's why the children go and work to get even just a little bit more money.
I'm pro child labor. I think some kids need to work as opposed to doing drugs.
Yeah, some of them literally do to survive.
You know, some kids are selling drugs anyways.
Yeah, because then like if there are kids who are gonna work, like they're gonna do something. They need the money. They're gonna do something, right, to get the money. So that they're, but that usually ends up looking like if there are child labor laws, right, for these younger kids, like teenagers, right, maybe 14-year-olds. They'll just go. Young sure kids will go and sell drugs, right, if they live in a particularly poor area. Then they're kind of fucked because they can't really get a job legally, like working at a restaurant or something, or
Yeah.
a fast food place or wherever the fuck. So it's like that guy's trying to like be sarcastic, like it's like this weird like passive aggressive like sarcastic attitude of like, oh, you're so pro child labor. Like, okay, I'm not pro poor children starving to death. That's why I kept saying that, because that's what that's what he's advocating for ultimately. He doesn't realize it, right? If you don't let like these children work,
Yo,
they're gonna die. Huh?
Oh no.
what is it?
Don't.
this
Yeah. I have no idea who this guy is, but his
It says
username
talk
makes me
to
worried.
AnCaps.
What's up with the username?
Bro, all right, so y'all can't answer my question, like, bro. That's not me. Rude people. I swear, bro. And I'm the black one. I'm not even rude, bro. Thank you on the question, game.
Okay.
What?
I don't want to talk to that guy. Look at his username.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. Probably a troll, or he's just like an actual Nazi.
hmm I don't talk to Nazis.
Fair enough. And they're not very coherent. Anyway,
Why trust the state?
it's like he wouldn't notice how that guy wouldn't answer the simple question about the lemonade stands, because he doesn't have like a coherent, sensible answer to that, right? It's either he has to be, if child labor is so bad, right, on his view, right, then lemonade stands, because he's saying, oh, you're pro child labor, as if that's bad necessarily, and then just by virtue of it being child labor, right?
Mhm.
But then, lemonade stands, right? That's a very clear example. He wasn't willing to answer the question because, like, straightforwardly, forthrightly, because it would have made him look silly. He would have had to say, "I'm against lemonade stands because child labor is always bad, apparently, because you guys and I keep saying that you guys are for it, as if it's some kind of knock on your position." But it's like, okay, if that's a knock on our position, then you have to take the stance that because we're explicitly against these forms of child labor where it's dangerous, right? We're advocating for a specific position, right, as it pertains to child labor, which is that if the child can't understand what they're doing, then and they want the money for some reason, they probably fucking need the money. Then who cares, right? But
Yeah.
he keeps like trying to bring up the craziest examples. With lemonade stand, there's no problem with that. So it looks silly for him, and I don't know if he actually answered that question. Right? What's wrong with that?
No, the
There
only
is
thing I heard
nothing
him say
inherently
was
wrong with child
that
labor.
I guess he said it was
So he can't-
he was against it.
Did he give like a
No, he didn't give a good reason.
did he give a reason, like,
No,
or a
not really.
justification? Because it's incoherent, right? Like, it just doesn't, like, there's no reason to say that the average child can't. Why can't a child do that, right?
I have no idea, bro. Doesn't make any sense.
So it's like when people will say, "Oh, libertarians they like child labor, or they're pedos." They don't actually understand the positions at all. They're just stupid, and they think, "Oh, something dumb like child labor inherently bad," which falls apart as soon as you realize why children have worked historically, because they're poor. And so it's like, are you saying that like children shouldn't work? They should be poorer instead. Their families are going to be even poorer. That doesn't make that's obvious. I don't think that's what these people actually want. They don't. But they don't think that's what they're advocating for, I guess. Um, it's just another like complete misunderstanding. It's just like they just think libertarianism means like do whatever you want, and that like there are these certain things that are pro-libertarian, these certain positions like child labor, that are somehow inherently bad, but it's a complete misunderstanding.
This is why we must abolish the state.
That is why.
People are wild. I think,
I think
a lot of people
people,
don't
like-
really critically think. That's really an issue.
They what?
A lot of people don't really critically think.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think they come up with rationalizations for their incoherent beliefs. And then they think, well, the libertarians are so crazy, they want all these crazy things. And it's like, because like a lot of people, I see people do this where like they think they can just default to saying like, oh, libertarianism allows this, look how crazy it is. And it's like, we can just do the same for statism, right? We can just talk about how absurd so many things the state does is, right? And all these copes and rationalizations for it, like as if it would be okay for anyone else except the IRS and police to enforce this or whatever, like stealing money from people, right? It's like we can do the same thing for statism, right? And people think that it's just like an automatic win when they say, look how crazy libertarians are. It's like, no, look how crazy you are.
Look how crazy you are, bitch.
They just don't know it. It's like the government gets a special mandate to do anything that.
I think I should make a basics on economics. Do you know how to video edit?
I mean, I've done some. I don't. What. I'd have to look at one of your videos again to see exactly what you do. See if
Damn,
I can
bro.
do something.
You don't watch my videos.
No, I do. I've watched your videos. I
Oh,
just don't-
come on, bro.
Isn't it like a bunch of like you just put a bunch
Come
of?
on,
It's usually like.
bro.
Well, it's like a bunch of like. Like
Generally,
B-roll
it's me
footage or, like-
talking with like B-roll footage
Yeah.
in the background. Yeah.
How long have those? Wait, you had someone else editing those before, right?
Mm-hmm. I was paying, but he just quit
Okay.
on me.
Yeah.
And he said he doesn't have enough time. So I told him, I get it,
How much were you paying him?
I paid him $60 for a video,
Oh, okay.
But,
What the fuck?
yeah. I guess he was working too much. So I found somebody else, though. But
Okay.
if I could find... I mean, if you want to, learn, that would be good, too.
Yeah. Let me just see.
You can actually message my friend Crater Liam. He'll actually teach you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he in your? He's in your Discord, right?
Mm-hmm. I could send you...
Oh fuck. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem, based on your video editing style, it doesn't seem too complicated.
Nah. The only thing is I just simply don't have enough time. I'm always working all the time.
Yeah.
But if I could pay somebody to do it, yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think the more hard part is the sifting through my my outtakes when I'm reading the thing. I think that will probably be the hard part.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
What's going on?
Not bad. How are you guys?
I'm pretty.
Weren't you here before?
Or
no?
I don't believe so.
Must have been another guy named Reasonable.
Maybe it was me. Well, not today. Are you thinking about like a week back or something?
No, it was another guy.
Okay. Cool. All right. You guys have a good night.
Don't do drugs.
I do not.
Drugs.
Well, I mean, nicotine, caffeine, shit.
Those are
I
the
say
good
do whatever you
drugs.
want.
All right. Be well.
You too.
Well,
He just joined just. Wait, what? He just joined just to leave.
I guess so.
Okay, I thought I was
He
gonna
probably
like,
guess he thought
ask
we were
him about like
boring.
child labor or something.
So what do you think about child labor?
I actually wanted to ask. I think most people just have an instinctive reaction that it's bad, but like I remember, I don't know, like how child labor is always framed in like history is like, I mean, obviously it wasn't like good like in America, but it's kind of what they had to do at the time. Like I don't know what to say. Like,
Sometimes in life you gotta do what you gotta do.
Sometimes you have to do hard things, right?
Yeah.
People have to work hard and suffer to live. It's unfortunate, but like the alternative, right, to child labor is worse. Like it's like fucking subsistence farming, pretty much. If you can't have children go and work in like certain stores or even factories, like back in the day in America, like it was a lot of children working in factories and whatnot. It's like, yeah, it's not favorable, right? It's not good, right? It's not necessarily what we want, but given the conditions, right? We were poor. We were in the process of industrializing massively. It was just kind of how labor conditions were at the time. The alternative would have been for fucking like families to just have their, like if the kids weren't allowed to do this, like they would have just, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them would have turned to doing it illegally or, you know, participating in certain black markets like drug dealing. And I mean, none of that is good. Or I think in like agricultural societies, you would just have like
Yeah, what's
more
up, guys?
substance.
What's up, Obama?
Yes, who's the AnCap here?
We are.
Both of us.
So, you believe in anarchy, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like, can you give me an example of it ever working? Like, because I can't think of any off the top of my head.
There's what you call it, medieval Iceland, Somalia. There was the Wild West for a little while. I actually was talking about it with some guy earlier, and I actually created a.
So you would want to live in medieval Iceland or Somalia?
Maybe not now, but
Well, it's not really what the point of bringing
at
up
the
such an
time,
example is.
maybe at the
Iceland did
time.
pretty well for itself during that period.
I mean, I get it
Sure.
at the time, but I feel like the reason why we
It was
have
better
such...
than some alternatives.
No, I'm
Isn't-
just saying, like,
isn't
I feel
terrible
like
there. It's relatively
reason why-
peaceful.
the reason why we have such developed societies today is because, you know, we're not anarchic. Like, we have governments that
We would be
regulate
more prosperous if we were anarchic.
shit. How so?
I think we're more prosperous in spite of states.
Yeah, we're prosperous despite the fact that there's a state. We would be more prosperous if there wasn't a state.
So how would you imagine that playing out? So there's no government to regulate anything. Okay, how do things get better? Like, who
Well,
regulates?
if there's less government, there's less restrictions on the market, things become cheaper. There's more competition. There's no patents. There's no monopolies.
Sure, but you just said less government, so you could have less government without having an anarchy, right? You're just it's a minarchist.
Yeah, but
Sure,
if you have,
you just got to go all the way if you want.
yeah, you got to go all the way. We like to take it all the way, you know.
I mean, it can be. That's like peak prosperity, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
So,
because of what capitalism does. And we're
Sure.
capitalists, right?
but how do you make it work in a world where there are other governments? So, like, what would stop another government from invading your country? Well, it wouldn't even be a country. It would just
I mean,
be
you can have
a-
private military.
We would be peaceful. We would have private military, but generally, stateless societies are peaceful and they don't start wars with other countries.
You think private military would be just as capable of defending against,
Yeah.
you know...
No,
think they'd be more
I think it would be more capable.
Exactly.
How do private militaries develop F-16s by themselves without...
You do
taxpayer
realize
money?
that private militaries have taken over country states before, right?
When was the last time that happened?
So basically, what happened? It just happened to like during the medieval times, where they were actually there was a kings where they were hiring private military militias, and what ended up happening is a lot of them just basically took over their governments because they had more power.
Sure, but medieval times is when the best weapon was a sword, not an F-16 like.
I mean, that
super
can
jet.
happen
It was
now.
still,
That could still
it
happen.
doesn't really matter. What does that matter?
Yeah, that don't matter.
Because in order to develop complex technologies, you need a lot of capital and money. How do you get a lot of money
Yeah,
from?
companies, yeah, through the market, right? Investors who voluntarily put their money into companies, and then consumers purchase products from these companies. That's how you actually build capital or build wealth.
So you would just replace a government with a company or a bunch of military companies.
Hell yes.
Well, they wouldn't be acting like a government does, right? They wouldn't be taxing. It would just be a bunch of companies competing with each other on the free market, right? Which the free market, we're understanding as just a market that lacks any sort of government economic intervention or anything.
I hear what you're saying, but you do realize that in the US military, for example, for one airplane, like upwards to 100 companies or even more than that are involved in supplying and procuring components, right?
Yeah, but the government is negotiating the contracts, and the state is not very good at negotiating contracts. They don't know what's the best value for its productive route to, or the most value productive way of figuring out how to utilize a contract, because they don't really have to care about profit. So they end up like spending way more than they otherwise would be.
Yeah, I know the US government is inefficient, but without it, how do you imagine?
You know
these
what the
companies-
economic calculation problem
Yeah,
is?
it's because the ECP.
What? I didn't, like, both of you were speaking.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Cam.
Do you know what the economic calculation problem is? Because that's kind of what Sithis is relying on in his argument, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. No, what is it?
Sithis, do you want to explain it?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So without private property at the means of production, which would be things that you own, which would like your phone, your money, your goods, your house, whatever. Without private property in the means of production, you don't have trading of those private property. Well, if you don't have trading, you don't have prices. Prices are basically signals that give people information as to what's abundant, what's not abundant, what people want, what people don't want. Without that information, you don't really have the ability to gather all the information that those signals would give you if they weren't there, when they are there, right?
Okay.
And because of that, every time a state employee or a politician or whatever is in charge of a budget, they always end up spending more than what they have, or being much more inefficient than a private company. One, because they don't have a profit motive. Two, they don't have those signals. So and three, they don't have to worry about making more money, because they could just steal money from other people in order to pay back any loss. So because of that, they're always going to be more inefficient than otherwise.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you that the government can be very inefficient. I agree with that point. But it's like, all I was saying previously is that, okay, in a situation where you have an anarchy within a particular territory, and let's say China comes over and it's like, we're going to take their natural resources. They don't have like a unified military, and they have like super advanced fighter jets. How do you stop that from happening? How does anarchy...
We make our own. We would buy or make our own.
The society couldn't have these advanced weapons as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would have many of these, because they would actually be able to economize, right? Because they would be capitalist. They would be able to figure out...
We could 3D print our own.
They would be able to figure out, like, they're able to do economic calculation, determining, what factors of production should go to producing what goods.
Okay, so, but how exactly do you imagine that happening? Like, can you give me like a vague, like a basic outline of how a society like that could procure super weapons?
Buying it.
Sorry?
They would buy it, or make it themselves, or they 3D print it.
What would stop China from just coming along and being like, hey, I have billions of dollars of my own taxpayer money, just give me those jets. Don't fight against us.
Well, because what's going to incentivize them not to do it is because their government's going to then just turn around and then use it on them. And if they do that, their customers, who are people who would be exploited by the Chinese government, would then turn around and stop buying their services. Also, governments aren't immune to being bought out either. In fact, I would say the state is actually more likely to give their money up to the highest bidder, because they don't have to suffer the consequences, because they're the people who are under them are taxpayers. They are forced to pay. Whereas if you're a private company and you sell out, people can choose to buy another service.
I mean, you really think that? Like, there's dozens of military, there's like hundreds of corporations within any particular country, but there's only one government. Isn't it easier to just buy out those corporations individually rather than the
To
No,
government?
buy
because
out
if
the
you have a
one government,
monopoly,
that's much
yeah,
easier.
if you have one
Hold
monopoly,
on,
it's
do you
easier
not see
to.
the contradiction there?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're thinking.
And my
Well, I'm
point
just
is,
saying, like, it'll be much easier, obviously, to just buy out the government if it's just this monopoly on force, right? That's just one to buy out, right? It's not a bunch of competing companies.
Yeah, they call that
I feel
lobbying.
like you're kind of inverting the logic here.
Mm-hmm.
no. My argument was that if you have one government and they obviously have access to all the money and all the capital that they do have, it is much more difficult to entice them with bribes than it is to entice a much smaller company with much less money.
That's not
Like
true. They
100
got
million goes-
lobbying. You ever heard of lobbying? People do it
Yeah,
all the
I don't know
time.
what you-
Yeah, of course I know
People make a
lobbying.
career
want
out of
to do.
lobbying. They call them lobbyists.
Okay, but like, so what?
Just
like,
get the
what is-
government to do what you want it to do.
They sit in the lobbies of the government buildings and they just, well, lobby.
Yeah,
That's
just
what we
because
want.
just because the way American government uses lobbying, it doesn't somehow mean that government itself is like inherently.
All governments lobby.
All people lobby the
Could you
government.
name me one that doesn't?
All sorts of people, I mean.
I would encourage you to try and go lobby the Chinese government. Good luck with that. Dude.
You don't think Chinese government has lobbies? You don't think they have, companies that take advantage of, pay bribes to government officials to get themselves ahead of other businesses? You don't think that's a thing in China?
I mean, can you name me one off the top of your head? Because I can't think of any.
Well, I'm not Chinese, but I wouldn't wouldn't be surprised
Okay,
if that
well,
was true.
Right.
I mean, I think when you have such an authoritarian government, that's kind of a given that you're going to have.
Yeah, like you don't think there's bribes
Like, do you
in
deny
China?
that?
Of course there's going to be bribes in China. Like
Okay, so just turning
how
it
would they
into-
be immune to bribery?
No, I'm just asking you, right? Because you raised that point. I'm asking you, like, can you give me an example? Because I can't think of any off the top of my head.
All right, I'll
Do you
ask
know any?
ChatGPT. Could you give me
Why would we
examples
need
of
to give an
bribery in
example to make
China?
the point? I don't see why any example would be necessary. To make this point.
Yes, bribery and corruption in China are not edge cases. They've been systemic, especially within the Communist Party, the state-owned enterprises, banking, land ownership, as well as local government, all well-documented, real examples. So the Zhou Young Kong, a former Politburo Standing Committee member, one of the world's most powerful men in China, he took millions of dollars in bribes and then
That's
used his
internal
control
corruption,
over
right?
oil companies, courts, police, and the outcome he was charged for life sentence. So yeah, there are people that do bribery and shit in China.
Yeah, so that's like internal corruption, right? That's not like a foreign government coming along and buying out the entire government.
Oh
Right.
God, get the hell out of here! You never heard
Okay,
about
wait,
Tesla?
man.
You never heard about Tesla? Tesla
What
literally,
happened to
they gave Tesla a whole bunch of fucking
They
tax breaks and shit like that, so they could basically take his shit. So yeah,
What does that have to do with
I'm sure there was some bribery definitely that went down in there to give him a head.
So the Chinese government created like a really attractive environment for Tesla to operate within their territory.
Yeah, but I'm
That's-
sure there was
that's
definitely
good.
some bribery going on. You think there's no bribery in China? I literally just read to you that it is.
No. I
There
know
is.
that there is bribery in China. I just told
Okay.
you, like, I don't think it's a foreign government coming along and stealing the Chinese government and making them do what they do, or like any other government, for example. I mean, it's
Could you
kind of
give
a
me
moot
an
point,
example
right?
of foreign governments bribing China?
What? No, I can't. That's my point.
No, I'm
I
asking
can't name it.
ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
Why do you specifically want an
Yes,
example of it?
there are
Jesus.
often cases where foreign actors tied to foreign governments bribe Chinese officials, but because China is an authoritarian one-party state, foreign governments usually don't hand suitcases of cash directly. Instead, bribery typically happens through state-linked foreign corporation (SOB), partially owned or backed by foreign governments, diplomat, or trade intermediaries. So yeah, it definitely does happen in China. They're not immune.
I mean, I think in principle that makes sense. Like if you are a big company, like you can go to
Yeah.
this government and give it money or do whatever to benefit you. Incentivized to do that.
If you're in a position of power, you're going to be more incentivized to look the other way if it gives you a lot of money and you know you're not going to get caught for it.
So that's your point. You really think that a clump of different companies are less susceptible to foreign bribery than a centralized government?
There's no monopoly on
there's no
force,
monopoly.
yeah.
Monopolies are more easier to corrupt than multiple competing firms because they have fundamentally they have just the one advantage, that is that people are allowed to move from one company to the next company if they feel that they are being corrupt or they're doing something fishy. But with the state, you don't have that. You're always forced to pay, even if they do a bad job.
Right.
Actually, in fact, just to add in another point, to own it, make it even worse, and the government actually uses their inability to provide certain services as an excuse to get more funding. If they're bad at their job, right, in a free market, they would lose their people would leave and they would go under. But under a status system, if someone's bad at their job, they could be like, oh my god, the only reason why I'm bad is because we're not funded enough.
Yeah, basically.
Right. So who would be buying these weapons from these military companies within an anarchy?
Insurance companies. What you would most likely have is insurance companies insuring people's property against violence and torts, and they would hire private security agencies to settle disputes and protect their insurers, and they would also hire private courts in order to settle disputes as well.
So you would replace the government with insurance companies?
Private companies, yeah.
It's not necessarily just insurance companies. It's what we call
rights enforcement agencies, yeah.
So yeah, and then what those companies basically do is, or at least one example of what they would do, is like after a private court, right, an arbitrator or a judge settles a conflict, a dispute, then these companies would ensure that the party that was held or found guilty, that they would actually uphold what they're supposed to do. Like they're enforcing the rights of the victim, is the idea.
It just sounds to me like you're taking out the government, or at least taking out the label, and you're just replacing it with a bunch of same stuff, just private.
It's like fundamental. It's in principle different.
It's similar,
the free
but
market
not
is
the same.
voluntarily, but the government is not.
All the functions of the state would be privatized, yes, but in practice it would be very different because how it would work would be very different, and the incentives would be very different.
Mm-hmm. Because you could have, like, whatever the government does today, like, with the roads and police, you could have that, right, in our world, right, in AnCap world, except it would all be, like, based on the free market, so it would all be voluntary exchange, compared to the government, where it's involuntary, right, you don't choose to give money to the government. It's not a free market.
The government literally reaches in your pants and snatches your wallet, bro.
I'm trying to make... Okay, so
It says it's for your own good.
Yeah. So it would basically replace the Department of State with insurance companies and replace the Department of Defense with a bunch of private military companies. Okay.
I mean, if that's how you want to think about it, I guess that's technically...
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what...
Sure, but I think it's fundamentally different.
It would be way better, though.
Recognize that.
You're making it seem like it's, it would be dope.
Like, it's not, it wouldn't be the same.
It would be dope.
Okay. All right. So who?
Like, do you disagree that the economic calculation is a real problem is a real thing?
I mean, look, like the theory is. I mean, I heard the theory.
Do you think it's correct, economically?
I think every economic system is corrupt to some extent.
No, the economic calculation problem, that would be that the state is more inefficient just out the bat because of their inability to calculate using prices.
Due to the lack of prices necessarily.
Or due to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they can't, yeah.
So do you believe that waste is completely avoidable? You can always avoid waste if you just privatize everything?
You would have more of an incentive to avoid waste because avoiding waste means that you can be more profitable.
I think there would be there wouldn't be this sort of necessary waste that exists with the state. I mean, there can be misallocation of resources in a free market 100%, but I think the state just necessarily can't even figure out how it should allocate resources. So it's going to be just worse on that ground alone.
You think that introducing a profit incentive into things like policing is a good thing?
Yes.
And I think there's always some incentive to profit, but now you can actually, instead of the government kind of just throwing resources at the wall and saying, okay, we probably need police here, but they can't actually use prices to figure out, like, do consumers actually want police here or whatever, or what kind of policing specifically. You would have private companies that are able to figure this stuff out, so it would be more efficient.
Yeah, they could see, like, if people want more protection in a certain area, people would be more willing to pay for higher prices for certain protection plans. So there will probably be multiple tiers, and if they see that a lot of people are paying higher tiers in a certain area, well, then they're going to see, oh, well, it seems like a lot of people really need protection here as opposed to this area. Whereas with the police, they don't really have those profit loss calculations. Again, profit and loss are not these things. It's not like, oh, I get this from stealing from you, or it's not these arbitrary numbers that you just slap onto things. They are signals. They tell you what people want and how much they're willing to pay for it at what quantity, and it gives you information that is really needed.
So I just want to ask you this question: like, would you agree that regardless of what the crime rate is, like central governments tend to always have police around, right? Like regardless of if the crime is high or low or non-existent,
yes,
there's like going to be police. Yeah. So my follow-up on that would be, I guess, is that if you're introducing a profit motive into policing, then wouldn't the companies be incentivized to keep some level of crime high so they can actually have profit to police people? Like, doesn't that make sense?
I don't think people would pay for such fucking services.
Yeah, if the services that if the private insurance agency is not keeping the crime low and they're not being reliable, you can choose to go to a different private security agency or private insurance agency that will protect you. Whereas with the state, if they do a bad job, they often use that as an excuse to get more funding, because they'd be like, oh, we're underfunded and therefore we need more money. So we need to steal more of your money. So actually, the state has more of an incentive to look past certain crimes to justify an increased spending in that sector of the state.
Yeah, I just don't see how it's the same thing. Like the government, I don't think the government gets a lot of money just from, like, they lose money by spending it on policing, not gain it.
Yeah, but they got unlimited money.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, if there's a high crime area,
well, they don't have unlimited money, but they have people whom they can steal money from, and they use this justification to take more money. So if the crime goes up, they'd be like, "Oh my God, we're underfunded and we need more money."
But how does it benefit them if they spend more money on policing? They're not gaining any money.
Well, it's because they don't have a profit incentive. So it doesn't matter to them because they could just steal people's money to pay up for it.
Exactly, that's my point. Like, there's no profit incentive. There's no reason for them to like spend more on policing unless it's necessary.
Well, no, because the people who get paid, the police officers who get paid, benefit from that increased budget because they get paid more.
So you're implying that police has some sort of power over the government?
A little bit, yeah. They can lobby, or they can go to the state and say, "Hey, we need more money, for more funding, for more military stuff, for higher salaries, for this and that, in order to hire more people and fill their own pockets."
So you're saying that this little power that they may or may not have is somehow worse than, police having profit incentive to continue keeping up crime? So they can continue fighting forever.
Well, because again, I don't know where you were before, but if you have a bunch of businesses and you have a business that is not providing the service that you want at a reasonable price, you could move from one business to the other. Whereas with the state, if they're not doing a good job and crime is going up, you can't move to another company. So they're not incentivized like a private company is to provide you the best service. And in fact, they often use their bad service as a justification to get more funding.
Okay, so let's say there's a police within the wait. So how would you make that work? Like if you live in a particular neighborhood, and let's say there's this one police service in that area, but then you're like, no, I'm gonna buy the services
There wouldn't
of
be
another
one police service. There would be multiple competing police services. And it wouldn't, and what you wouldn't be paying, you wouldn't most likely not be paying the police themselves directly. What you would most likely be paying for is some sort of insurance premium on your body and the goods and services that you own, and that the police and the police backing and military as well as ambulance services would be sort of packaged in with that.
Let me get this straight. Not only do you have these armed organizations competing for money, but you have competing them against each other.
Security companies,
they're all armed.
which would basically be police in
that
ANCAP,
right?
could do
You have
profit
armed
loss
organizations
calculations.
competing with each other for money. Doesn't that sound like kind of fucking dangerous, don't you think?
Well, no, that's a good thing, because if they're profiting, that tells you that they're providing services that people really value. And if they're not profiting, well, then that shows you that they're not doing a good job. And on the free market, there would be another person to come up in and compete with them. Whereas under a stated system, there is no competition. And if the state does a bad job, well, then you're tough luck. You still have to pay them.
No. My point is, you have a particular area and you have several like armed organizations with guns and tasers and all the other stuff, right? Competing with each other for customers, right? That sounds like a recipe for disaster to me.
What would make you think that?
That would be much better than having a monopoly on force.
Yeah, I'd rather have multiple competing firms that are in it to make money.
Put all that power into one organization.
Yeah, than have a criminal organization, monopolistic criminal organization.
Like, let's just take like a reductio case, right? Like, imagine you're on an island, and like it would be obviously much better rather than saying one person on the island is the only one that may use violent force to like defend others, for example, like, you know, what police are supposed to do. It would be much better if instead you said like everyone is within their to use violent force if necessary, right? Rather than saying only one person can do it. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Hell yeah, it is.
I mean, dude, look, if you really think that the multiple competing organizations with a lot of like military equipment is somehow a good thing, I mean, sure, dude.
Do you disagree that the hypothetical reductio I just provided like shows the absurdity of your thinking?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
So you think it would be better to just give all the power to one?
Yeah, some of the safest countries on the planet today have that exact system. Yeah.
I think it would be safer. We're saying it would be safer, like if you didn't have that.
Yeah,
Hold on. You don't think that one person could just abuse their power, right? Like pretty easily if they're the only one who's allowed, you know, to say, you know, whether violent force is okay, or the only one allowed to use violence. Like I think that authority could be abused very easily.
I think abuse would be even greater when you have multiple organizations without oversight.
How is that?
I mean, just take a look at Somalia.
There is oversight. There is oversight, though.
Somalia
just the customers oversee it.
States that are clans. That's not what we're advocating.
I mean, just take a look at Mexico, right? And in many of these places
Mexico, that's not what we're advocating for.
No, but I'm just giving you an example, right? Like, there's a bunch of cartels that basically act like quasi.
That's a difference, it's a fundamental difference between the cartels in Mexico and because that's not a free market, right? These cartels are using violent force to literally cartelize, right? Which means to restrict the trade of things like drugs.
Right. You don't think private military organizations or police organizations would be doing that in anarchy? You don't think that would happen?
Not necessarily.
They would be much less likely to do so because there's competition and people can move from one business to the other, whereas the state, they can't.
Is there a real
go to war? If you as a company,
every single good and service you've ever bought in your life, if there's more than one more competition, if there's one that's doing bad, people move from one thing to the other.
Sure, but an organization producing bread cannot shoot me.
Yes, but the state can.
What?
The state can.
Okay, I mean, I'm just asking for like a real life example of this.
Okay, so when you go to the grocery store, is there only one
Yeah.
grocery store, or is there multiple grocery stores?
There are obviously multiple, yes.
Okay, so if one of them is selling rotten food and not really has really high prices, I would assume most people would move from that place to the other competing firms.
Yeah, but if they have guns and they're forcing a neighborhood to have only one particular type of shop, that's a different
Yeah, but that's the
scenario, don't you
state.
think?
But that's not what
Sounds
we're
like
talking
a-
about.
yeah,
That's a
sounds like a
state.
state.
That's the system that you support. We're against that system. What we're talking about is the system that I just described, which is multiple competing firms.
Yeah, that's fine when it comes to consumer market. I'm talking about specifically the policing and military market. Like
Yeah,
that was
so
like,
Oh,
they're
it's all
not
for
gonna
consumers.
be incentivized to shoot their customers, because then if they find other customers find out that any person that leaves will get shot, well then they're gonna hire their competition to protect them.
I think they will be. I think they will shoot each other. The way
They
the
they
cartels
wouldn't
in
shoot each
Mexico
other
did.
because they would be more incentivized to take it to court, because going to war is more costly than going through arbitration. And if
Why
you
do
have
they
a
give a shit about
profit-seeking
court?
company, they're going to take the most value productive route generally, more often than the
Why
state
do-
will.
Why do they give a shit about a court? A bunch of people dressed in wigs when they have guns. Why would they
Because
care?
generally going to war is a lot more costly than going to arbitration, and because companies are generally seek the more value productive route, more often than not they're going to settle it in their disputes in arbitration, as opposed to spending millions of dollars on going to war, in which they
If-
might not win.
If the potential outcome is having a monopoly where it would be the most profit maximizing thing for them, wouldn't they take a risk and go to war with each other? Don't you think?
Not if they have multiple competing firms that have signed agreements with each other, that if one goes evil, then the other ones will band together. And if one of them decides to attack, then they could just hire the other firms can just hire other private security agencies to deal with them, because as profit-seeking firms want to maximize their profits, and if generally going to war is a lot more costly than cooperating when it comes to a free market. That's why you don't see a lot of CVS or Geico going to war with these other insurance companies whenever they have disputes between two people that are under their insurance plan.
You believe that they would perpetually be on equal footing and not one company would eventually emerge as the more powerful one, as it happened in pretty much any other industry? You really think that?
No, even in even in the heavily regulated industry that we have now, it's very rare to see one insurance company controlling the whole market.
Yeah, but you usually have a handful, and they usually cooperate with each other.
The main reason why there's a lot of there's more consolidation in that industry than there is in other industries is because it's more regulated than other industries. If you get rid of the regulation, you're going to see more competition, just like the food industry.
Yeah, but like I said,
but on AnCapistan there would be no regulations, therefore you wouldn't see any monopolies.
Again, like, who is to say that they would care about the regulations when they have weapons?
Because generally, again, I don't know where you were the last 10 minutes, so I guess I'll explain it to you again. Going to war is a lot more costly than not going to war. So generally, as profit maximizing industries, they're going to want to invest in arbitration firms that'll settle the dispute every time one of their people gets into some sort of dispute. So that's what you're more likely to see in a private market, because again, it's more costly to go to war than it is to go through arbitration.
Where is the set of proofs for this, though? Like, if it is always more cost effective to arbitrate, where's the numbers that's showing you that?
Well, all you need to do is look at insurance companies in the real world and look at how often they go to war with each other. Well, it tells you a lot, because if you look at the insurance companies in the real world,
No, but we're not
could you
talking
name me
about the
one?
real world. We're not talking about
Well,
a
I'm
system.
talking about the real world. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but we're not talking about under the current state, right? So like if we're talking about under the current state, if you're saying under the current state, they don't go to war, therefore it would always be true that arbitration is cheaper than conflict. That
Well,
doesn't
it is.
logically follow.
Going to war costs a lot more than it is to settle a dispute.
How? How do you know that?
Well, because you have to.
What
you have to buy
equations are you
weapons.
using to derive that?
Well, because you have to buy weapons. You have to buy men. You have to buy all the things that are associated with going to war, which is very costly. Whereas
you might already have
the
those
other
things. It
hand,
might be a
whereas the
zero
other
cost
hand,
to you.
whereas the other hand is to just go to a court and then settling that dispute there.
You might already have those things. It might be zero cost to you.
I mean, if it costs less to go to war than it is to settle disputes, then you would see every single country going to war as opposed to settling a dispute.
Do. So we have
No, you
seen
don't.
conflict throughout all of human history, even in places
not
with
true.
no states. Even if you go to like the rural countryside where the state does not really intervene at all, people have conflict. Of course they do.
Yes, but again, if it was true that going to war was cheaper than settling disputes and through arbitration, that you would see every single country going to war every time they have a dispute.
It would.
But what you see,
depend.
excuse me,
depends on the
but what you would
circumstances.
see, what you see in the real world is that most of the time, more often than not, whenever a country gets into a dispute with the other, they tend to settle it through either some sort of arbitration or through some sort of treaties or agreements that they pre-agreed, signed agreements that they have with each other. The same thing could be very well be done or very well be true with private industry. And in fact, they would be more incentivized because, again, private companies are profit maximizing businesses and they want to avoid waste, and going to war is more wasteful than going to arbitration. So therefore, they are going to have more of a higher tendency to go to arbitration than they would go to war than they would with a state.
Higher tendency,
Than the state, absolutely.
Discrepancies.
They would have more of a higher tendency than the state would, because the state can steal money from people.
What I'm saying to you, though?
If they would have a more of a higher tendency than the state, because the state steals money from people, and then they can use that war.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Money to go to war.
It depends on the circumstance.
Yes, obviously you could come up with a circumstance where war can come through, but what we're talking about is the incentives, and profit incentivizes individuals in a free market to go through arbitration as opposed to fighting.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think pretty much everything you're saying is just pure theory, and it's like your own opinion rather than based on anything.
Yeah, is the theory
in real life.
correct is the question. Like, it doesn't matter if it's theory. Sure, it's theoretical.
I mean, I could give you real world examples of this happening.
Sure.
So, for instance, medieval Iceland, they were stateless. They had private arbitration, and yeah,
1,000 years ago.
Irrelevant.
Oh, it's irrelevant. Still worked.
That's irrelevant. That doesn't matter, right? Why would that matter?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Imagine 1,000 years.
Let me bring an example from 1,000 years ago into a modern 21st century.
It's irrelevant.
context
You have to
here.
actually demonstrate that that's a relevant point, though. You haven't.
I can demonstrate to you that there is like every single example of a successful.
Okay, tell me the relevance of it having occurred
I-
1,000 years ago.
If you just let me
right now.
finish. If you just let me finish, right? Like there's
Just
a
answer
bunch
the
of
fucking question.
No, you don't want to listen to me. Can I finish what I'm saying?
Let him go.
I want to listen,
Cam.
but I just want you to
No, you
answer the
don't wanna?
question.
No, you don't want. Okay, I think it's kind of pointless.
Answer the question. Okay.
No,
I
he
guess
left.
you can answer the question. Like, you know, it's not that that's not like a relevant question, or that's like that needs some nuanced answer. He just needed to answer the question straightforwardly. Well, there's nuance to it, but like, it's not that hard. It's just because there is no. It doesn't matter that it was 1,000 years ago. Okay, and like, like, I don't know.
Socialism worked when USSR.
Like
that was 30 years ago.
The problems, for example, the problems with statism, right? Those aren't like really time dependent, right? They're gonna persist even if you're talking about an example from 2,000 or 1,000 years ago versus a state that exists today. There are gonna be certain structural problems inherent to statism, right? And that also goes for, you know, an anarchist or at least close to anarchist society like medieval Iceland. Like the certain principles are gonna apply given the structure of that society, right? In terms of like, does anarchy work? And in the case of places like Iceland, they were really, I would say they were, I wouldn't say they were completely anarchist, because they had like this sort of parliament that like this legislature, which is almost like the equivalent to like the state, and ultimately it led to taxes being implemented or instituted, and then eventually Iceland collapsed and Norway took over, the Kingdom of Norway. But like whatever point you're trying to make about Iceland, like it still applies to like just some potentially modern ANCAP society that we are in favor of.
It's all just theory, bro. We're theory bros.
It's like, yeah, is the theory correct though? Like he's acting like, oh, it doesn't apply in
It's
reality.
all just
If our
theory,
is
bro.
correct, and it's going to apply to reality. So I don't know why people act like, oh, you're not thinking in reality. Like, no, we are trying to figure out what would happen in reality.
But it's just theory, bro.
It's like if you use like some like ethical thought experiment where you'll ask someone like, if I mow your lawn without your consent and then demand payment, like, is that theft or is that wrong? Because that's just what, you know, taxation is. And it's like, imagine if someone said, oh, that's just like your theory though. Like that doesn't apply. That's just a hypothetical. It's like it doesn't. No, it's demonstrating a certain idea, right, that applies to reality.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing.
I think some people come in with, well, I think most people come in with certain well, I mean, which is fair, but like they come in with certain preconceived notions of libertarianism and of, you know, the state, and they have these ideas. They have this fundamental idea that like the government needs to do certain things, that like the free market can't handle certain things, or like a military defense and all that. But they're not actually willing to listen to the counter arguments to their ideas, so they kind of just like rely on these flawed premises, and they don't actually engage. I think that's something people do a lot, and they don't realize. They just can't accept that the free market is like always going to be more efficient than like an interventionist one. Even like if we explain like economic calculation.
The economic calculation problem.
And then they'll just go, oh, that's just like your theory or something. I can't believe he also like said that like when I'm talking about like the island, like imagine like you have the island with people and like you only let one person decide when violent force is okay. Like I was trying to show that like how silly that would be, how easy it would be to abuse that authority as one person. But
Andrew Tate got beat up in a boxing match? I gotta see this.
Oh, really? Is
Wait.
it recent?
Yeah, I guess so. Let me pull it up on my YouTube. Let me pull it up on my YouTube channel.
Has just lost to Chase Damore.
Oh, he lost.
In their 6-round boxing match. And I'm going to break it down.
Fuck that guy,
Starting in the
Andrew
first
Tate.
Round,
I want to see him get his ass beat.
Finding his jab early on, leading the dance against Chase, and I think he edged out this round. But
why would he
there
fight
wasn't
somebody?
Really too much going
He's too
on.
old to be fighting people,
And
bro.
the second round, more of the same.
I think he used to do
some nice body
boxing.
jabs from Tate.
Isn't he like
Like
50 years old or some shit?
Doing a whole lot of
40.
pawing, just putting that lead.
You know,
hand
like
out
how like
there
the allegations
and
of like
putting
Andrew
it
Tate, like
near
trafficking, like sex trafficking.
Andrew's
Oh, I
face.
100% believe that he's
And,
guilty.
Nice little combo here from Tate.
What exactly like is he accused of? Though?
Definitely
Like
stings
what
him a little.
specifically? are they
Forcing
claiming?
women to do
And
OnlyFans
now
or
let's go
sex
to round
websites
3,
in
where
his
the
house and
fight
not allowing them
starts
to leave, taking their
a
passports and taking
completely
90% of their money.
Is that really what he did?
Mm-hmm.
Andrew
It's on court
Tate,
documents and everything.
mouth
People
open.
I didn't know.
testified. It's
I didn't
really
know
bad.
that. I didn't know it was that
is
bad.
starting
I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it was
like
like.
really
glass
bad.
out, and Chase is wearing on him.
What the hell?
That's right. Andrew
Yeah.
has
That's like
been
slavery.
ripping way too
Oh,
many
he's getting
darts,
beat.
way too
Fuck
many
that guy.
guards, and halfway through this fight, and
How did he
he
escape
looks
prosecution?
done.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Still unable to connect, Ben. You know, Chase is getting too tall and trying to load up to the head. He needs to go the body shots. Still a close round.
And into round 4 now, things are getting even worse for Andrew.
Is Andrew Tate
His
still
head's
getting
down.
prosecuted
He's
for his
just trying to
crimes?
clinch, and Chase is coming at him, throwing up these silly little punches. And they're
Yes,
not really
he's still
landing with
facing legal
damage,
proceeding in
but
multiple
he's all
countries,
over him, and he's
but the
full of
status
energy.
varies. Tradition, Romania, ongoing case. Yeah, they're still charging him.
Yeah, but he and his brother, like, they came back to America recently, I remember.
I guess
And
he's out on
round
bail or
5
some
now,
shit.
Tate's a zombie, and he's just got
Yeah,
nothing for
I thought
Chase.
he would be,
This
like,
is
stuck
worse
there. I guess
than
he's
the
not
Jake
now.
Paul fight last night, in my opinion.
Wait.
And Chase keeps getting him up against the ropes, having complete control over him, and just throwing these
Yeah,
little arm
dude,
punches
Tate is.
rather than
Why would he
making
try to fight this
mistakes
guy?
and
He's clearly
really
bigger than him.
teeing off on Andrew. Yeah, super annoying to watch.
Like, you know, Andrew Tate, he's a big guy, right? But like, but this guy's bigger than him. Like,
And let's go to the 6th and final round. Andrew Tate in survival mode, and Chase Damore about to get the biggest win of his career by
Bro.
far. Walks Andrew down the whole round, no problem.
He didn't
Even gets a
really-
clean shot off and cuts Andrew around his eye.
yeah, Andrew Tate definitely lost that shit.
Still here. Another shot from Damore. And if Tate had his hand, one shot of Chase Damore and kind of
Oh, his face is beaten bad.
I thought Chase would have a little more control around 10 seconds. Chase Damore.
They keep like kind of hugging. You can tell he's too tired.
Incredible grit
He's
and
too tired.
determination from both of these
He's just,
fighters.
like, the other guy's
And
like,
still,
beating the shit out.
the Misfits boxing heavyweight
Yo, what's the
But why did he fight this guy?
of the world.
It's better to try and lose than not try at all.
I wonder
Thank you
what
very
his
much, Andrew.
record is for boxing. I don't remember.
At least he took it like a champ. But damn, he really damn, that's embarrassing. Why would he do that? Like, why?
Like ego? I don't know.
Like, he couldn't have been paid enough to humiliate himself like that. Do you know what
Maybe
I'm
he thought he
saying?
could
Like,
win.
there's no
Yeah.
way he
I
gotta
don't
be
know.
that
Who
bad to humiliate yourself like
Maybe
that.
he really thought he was gonna win.
The thing is, like, when you're young and you're 20s, you know what I'm saying? And you know, maybe your late 20s, you know, boxing, all right, that's a cool thing you could do. But after your 30s, you know, get into your 40s, what looks like that's what Andrew Tate, he's around 30 something, probably hitting his 40s. I don't know, maybe older than I have no idea how old he is, honestly.
I think he's like early 40s.
Yeah. After a while, it's
Hey
just
Siri,
like,
Andrew Tate age.
yeah, what's his age? Let's see.
39. Okay.
Okay, so he's like,
He's still up there.
after a while, it's just like, yeah, like you could be strong, but you probably shouldn't be fighting people because it's not like, especially a guy that like that guy looked younger than him, way younger than him. So
hmm
yeah, not a good idea. Andrew Tate, why would you do that? What are you, an idiot? What did you expect? I think I think some people's ego gets the
That's
best
what,
of them.
yeah, I think so.
I think I might have gotten his ego. That probably was, they were probably talking shit. And, yeah. I didn't know that he got into a fight. Andrew Gape. That's what I call him.
Yeah. Good one.
Yo, his face is beat, bro. Oh, man. Yo, I hear they came out with the Epstein files and all that.
I heard.
But they didn't really release it all, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They need to
I wonder,
release
like,
that
what
shit.
the full details of that are. Like, I wonder if forever. I mean, surely eventually we're gonna get it, but like, I just wonder. Like, who the hell is all on there?
I think there's probably a lot of people on there that they don't want
Really?
people to know, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of shit's coming out.
Eventually it'll have to come out. You think Trump is like guilty of some really bad things or what? When it comes to Epstein?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's why he's
100%.
Trying to like
There's like
trying to not
when he said that it was a hoax after like his whole campaign and everybody in his campaign was like, oh, once we get into office we're gonna release it.
Yeah. And then they now they're like
and now
delaying
they're saying it's a hoax. And then he turned around and said, "Oh, now we need to release it. We have nothing to hide." But then now they're not releasing it. So
that would be.
I don't know
if
what the
Trump
fuck is
guilty,
going
that
on,
would
bro.
Be a really dumb idea of him to like try and campaign on that and then go back. Like he just like people would just forget because they're dumb. Like I mean, a lot of people are.
Honestly, I have a feeling that he's probably just guilty. It's just probably what it is.
Yeah. He's probably gonna die before he can fucking anything would happen to him. If anything would ever happen to him.
She got to be level 20.
Killed?
He killed himself. I think he killed himself.
Yeah. Really? What makes you say that?
Well, to me, the official story makes more sense than whatever story that people made up.
Just that he hung himself.
Yeah.
I think that's how he apparently.
You know, because like for instance, when people say like 9/11 wasn't real, right? To me, when I think like whether or not it's likely to be real is whether or not the official story makes more sense than what they would presume would be true if it wasn't true. So for instance, like
when you say make more sense, like do you have a specific standard for that?
Okay, so
like you know Occam's razor?
So like okay, well he could have either killed himself or he bribed out every single person in the whole prison and somehow put another person's body in there.
Him escaping?
Yeah, like, or
I was thinking versus him being killed by someone. More, not just like him escaping.
okay, but then you have to look at the autopsy.
He got killed.
When they look at the autopsy, it doesn't look like he got killed. There was no struggle.
Oh, is that like known?
Oh yeah.
Or is that like okay?
It doesn't look like he had a struggle in any kind of way.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, fair enough. Yeah.
The thing that he killed himself with. I mean, also you got to look at it like this: the dude was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. A guy who spent his whole life.
That's true. I don't think it's
in luxury.
That he killed himself.
He lived his whole life in luxury.
I think it's 100. I'm not even saying like I think he got killed. I'm just like I'm not really sure. I mean, I would have to look
I'm
more
not
into
saying
it.
it's 100% true.
Yeah,
that his fault. I'm not
just
saying
not
it.
sure. Like I think either is possible, of course. I think it's totally plausible that he killed himself. I just don't exactly.
I think it's right as of right now. Based on what I've seen, it seems to me to be more plausible that he killed himself than either he got killed or he got replaced or something like that, or some other explanation. Because I feel like there's too much unexplained stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
They had cameras and shit. I'm pretty sure they had it around there too, and they didn't see anyone going in and out of his cell or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember when there were like videos released. I remember a lot of people were like suspicious of that. They thought it like looked like fake or like AI or something.
I mean, it could have been faked. I don't know, but I do think that everything that they say he did was probably true. Yeah, like that seems. I think the fact, with just the the pedophile stuff, like the pedophile ring and all that stuff, I think that's probably most certainly true. Because of the fact that everyone's trying to hide it. I feel like if it wasn't true, there would be nobody hiding it. But the fact that everyone is trying to hide it.
I mean, aren't there like up to 1,000 like people who claim to be victims of him, like who are like have testified about it? I swear, there's some like it's pretty high number. I'm pretty sure of women who claim they were like victimized by him in various ways.
Probably
So,
thousands.
not that like
yeah,
that
I don't
means
know. Probably a lot.
but
Probably a lot.
let me look this up.
Chest.
So yeah, when I looked it up, it says like around 1,000 apparently. Like
He was at it for years.
Yeah.
Not thousands, fuck. For tens of years, you know what I'm saying? Like he was in that shit for probably like 30 years or so. So
It was
they
like
had
his
pictures of him
whole-
with Michael Jackson.
The only reason it's funny. The only reason he had so much money was because he just like basically lied in order to like get in these positions in companies, and like worked his way up through the ladder by just like getting good relationships with certain people high up, and he like laundered a bunch of money, I think, and just basically defrauded people, and that's how he got a lot of money. He was all around just a completely evil.
Complete dirtbag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Complete dirtbag. Yeah, I'm enjoying World of Warcraft Classic. I kind of have to stop myself from playing because I enjoy it so much.
You might just not be able to stop.
Yeah.
Shit.
The only thing is there's just not as many players as like the one thing is like this has phasing. So even though there's more players on, it has phasing basically, so that like certain areas will have if there's too many people in an area, they'll have different phases, but that could make it like feel like the game it could kind of make it feel like there's less people in the game even though there's more. Kind of sucks.
You don't like that?
No, I like to have everybody around,
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's how it was in the old days.
I see. Back in the old days.
Of World of Warcraft, yes. At least we got a couple people to talk to today.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than no one.
I don't know if I've ever seen like a good objection to this, but like when people, I think you mentioned it earlier. I don't even remember the person said who you said it to, but like the people who think that like, oh, all these companies are basically going to go to war with each other. One of them's going to go to war to like try and dominate an entire market. It's like like you don't see this constantly happening between countries today, right? Between states today. I mean, sometimes of course there's war, but it's like if it was really the case that like people are just they behave this way where like they're just gonna try and like constantly go to war, in an effort to like I guess profit more. Like how come this doesn't happen constantly between countries, right? Like because there's war is not exactly a profitable venture.
It's more often, yeah, less profitable to go to war.
It's quite risky. And if you're a private company, and the difference between the state, a state, and a private company is that the state doesn't have to actually bear the cost; the taxpayers will do. But if a company is going to war, like you said earlier, they have to raise their prices, right? So they're just gonna lose, like over time, they're just gonna lose business. Or like they're gonna get less consumers if they keep raising their prices because they're constantly warring, right? Just on that, given that, they're gonna see less business in a free market.
Maybe I should make a video about this.
I think you should, because that's like one of the most common objections I hear on like oh, it's not practical because like warlordism, right? Where like they claim you're gonna have these warlords who are gonna in these private companies who are gonna like try and like dominate completely.
God, I love this game too much.
It's also funny that like people care so much about like these companies becoming monopolies and like going to war. Like it's okay when the government exists that is a monopoly, when the government will go to war. It's like the governments do this all the time, right? They are just a monopoly, right? They do all these things you don't like. They have an incentive to, right? They don't actually have to pay the costs if they go to war, really.
I think the troll is the best race in World of Warcraft.
Why?
Because they just have like they have these blue skin and long arms, and they kind of like crouch down. I don't know. I kind of like them, and they speak in Jamaican accents. My brother.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. It's odd. Oh shit. I think I'm gonna go though.
Have a good night, man.
Alright, see you.
You too. Probably gonna keep playing until 3 in the morning and then probably get to bed. So I downloaded. I didn't download, but I found a playlist on YouTube called the full discography of the Beatles, and I started it, and I've been listening to it, and I'm like, I don't know how far I am, but I feel like I'm pretty far in. Let's say I'm about halfway. But man, did the Beatles make a lot of music, man. A lot of music. A lot of good music, though.
KingSithis and debaters.
Hey, what's up, man? Oh, you kind of joined in late. Everybody left.
Joined in a bit late, lol.
Yeah, but that's okay. You could always catch the VOD afterwards. I try not to delete the VODs. I want them to be there so that we can, you know, always look back and watch them. I'm back to World of Warcraft. Honestly, I'm just going to play Classic WoW until maybe until they come out with a Classic Plus. I might try out
What stays on Sithis live stream stays on Sithis live stream.
what happens in
happens.
What happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club. Oh, let me set up a myself up at the end over here.
What do you need? Go forth to victory.
World of Warcraft.
Have you tried any free Steam games, even MMORPG ones, like GW2?
Yeah, I have tried Guild Wars 2, and I just don't really like it that much. I just feel like World of Warcraft is just so much better. I've tried a lot of games. I've gotten burned out on I used to love first-person shooters, but then I got burnt out on it. Skill-based matchmaking kind of ruined it for me. But, yeah.
True, I agree about GW2, haha.
I just feel like it's just not as good as World of Warcraft, so... And when I play it, I feel like, it's not World of Warcraft. Like, World of Warcraft is just a better game in every way. It's kind of weird to say that, but... I could sit... Walking around in World of Warcraft is more fun to me than playing Guild Wars 2. I think what makes me like World of Warcraft Classic so much is just the combat. The slow-paced, relaxing combat.
I started to hate games that have fast pace. Well, I guess it comes over the years.
Yeah, me too. After a while, as you get older, it stops, the reaction time gets slower. It stops being as fun. And then, when you work all the time, well, just speaking from my own personal experience, because I work a lot, I like to sit back and relax when I'm playing my video games, I don't want to sweat my balls off when I'm playing a video game. I just want to enjoy my life. And that's just honestly how I feel about it. World of Warcraft has just become my place where I can relax, enjoy games. For what they are.
Be good.
As far as single-player games, I have to say RDR2 is GOAT for sure.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably the best single-player game I've played since Skyrim. Or GTA 5.
After RDR2 I find it hard to find a good game, same with WoW and MMO.
Yeah. Once you play the best, it's hard to go back to something that's less.
When you try Sithis you never go back, ha ha ha. Rockstar really cooked with RDR2.
They certainly did, man. Red Dead Redemption 2 is so good. Red Dead Redemption was amazing.
Hello Draco. It's 3 a.m. LOL.
What's up, jerk man?
What's up?
Oh shit, it is 3 a.m. Fuck. What's good, bro? Oh, well, he left. Alright, fuck it. Gonna Hearthstone, and then gonna call it a night, because you know what? Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. Alright, y'all. I hope you have a good night, and maybe I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night.
GN.